This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em a shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in.
What up, what up, what up, Knicks Nation? It's your boy, Phil All Caps, a.k.a. That's the Spirit, a.k.a. Phil Porto, whatever you want to call me. And I am back with another episode of the Knicks Nightcap, and I am excited. Me and my guy, Apollo, we will be breaking down what we've seen these last 2 days, which we may not be very, very excited about thus far. We will also be chopping it up with our guy Dixon Dedman of 2XO Whiskey, sipping on his sneaker blend. And then we will be chopping it up with a Bulls fan and his Swoosh Life podcast, and kind of just chopping it up about, you know, what this game tomorrow night might look like. So thank you for those that are tuned in. If you can, share it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. And the more eyes we get on it, the better the episode's going to be. Apollo will be dipping out at about 9:05 tonight. And that's because we got a lot to rejoice about, because homeboy gets to go back to work tomorrow. His Achilles is feeling better. So at about 9:05, we will be making it an open panel discussion where we will have different topics. And if you are in the chat and you want to chop it up, we will give you that opportunity right then and there. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my favorite co-host, probably because he's on my show and he's my homie. So let's give it up for Apollo Reed.
Yo. Peace, bro. Peace, man. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Can't complain, man. Like you said, going back to work tomorrow. So, you know what I mean? Things are up and up, man. Get to make some real money again. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it, man. And for those that, you know, have just rocked with us, we don't really know everything that's going on. Apollo pulled a Jason Tatum and Therese Halliburton and decided, if they could do it, I could do it. And so he blew his Achilles. And so he's been on the up and up. And it's just been, you know, a fight to get back to where he wants to be. And so tomorrow he gets to do that. So we want to make sure he gets his beauty rest and be able to feel fully ready for tomorrow. So I'm happy for you, bro.
Thanks.
Really.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. Yeah. The long road, man. I'm glad I'm back.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I'm so glad. And I'm glad that we get to chop it up. You know, the night before you go, we can talk about some despairing, you know, basketball games and have hopes for a better tomorrow when we go up against the Bulls. So let's get right into it. First, let's give a little shout out to those that are in the chat. My guy, Mr. Ally State of Mind, is in the building. Appreciate you as always. Shout out to my guy, Prezi. He said, salute to the greatest show for Knicks content on a Thursday. My guys, Phil All Caps, a.k.a. Live in Porto Vision, a.k.a. the Whiskey God, and Apollo Reed, a.k.a. that boy good. Knicks Nightcap Gang, KOT Shots. Appreciate you. Shout out to my guy, Fritz, the moderator of all moderators, Mr., you know, X's and O's of the NBA himself, Mr., you know, all the things that I can't tell you about, he can. That's that guy right there. Shout out to my guy right here, Ally State of Mind. If you guys do not know, and I'm actually going to take a second and pull this up, there's something really, really dope about this Knicks community, because you get a lot of people that support one another in different ways. And though I'm not like the biggest like fitness guru right now, years ago, you know, I used to, you know, run a lot before all my surgeries and everything like that. But this guy right here, he seriously like does so much for the bringing the community together with his Knicks fitness community. And so it's really cool, because what they do is they allow each other to, you know, post photos and everything like that of them kind of pursuing health and, you know, just doing life better and taking care of themselves. And so it's cool to see a community that actually builds one another up and pushes each other to something greater than, just chilling on the couch, eating a bunch of snacks and watching a Knicks game. So shout out to my guy, Ally, and everything he's doing there. So if you guys are into fitness or you want to get like challenged to get into fitness, that's the guy to be following right now and doing all the things that he is currently doing. Will seriously push you to greater things. So shout out to him. My guy Lee Escobedo in the building. Much love to my brother Phil and brother Apollo. Appreciate you. And we're going to dive right into it. While we wait for people to get here, we want to make sure we talk enough Knicks, then we talk enough with Dixon Dedman, and then we talk enough with my guy Matt Cusick. But this right here, if you guys don't know, this is from last season, okay? This is the bottle we had last season, 2XO vinyl blend. It was a hit. And so today we're going to be talking about another one called Sneaker Blend. And what I love about that is it fits our culture. We got a lot of sneakerheads that are Knicks fans, including Matt, who will be on the show. And he's from the Chicago fans, but he's got a Swoosh Life podcast. So it's going to be pretty dope chopping it up with him. But let's jump right into it first, Apollo. We lost 2 in a row. All right. And before we talk about that, I want to put up a little picture. We're going to start a little thing that we do now. And I'm going to do, something called Nictionary, where I'm going to create these friggin' little things. And I'm going to have you figure out who it is from Knicks past based off of the image that I'm presenting to you. All right. So those in the chat, you guys can lock in with this too. But what Knicks player of the past is this right here?
Wow. Okay. Pat Riley. Is that Pat?
Yeah, that's Pat.
Pat Riley. Rick Ross.
Days. Yep.
Who is number 3?
I'll give you this. It's an actor.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is that the Wolverine guy? What's his name? Okay. I think Wingstop has a lot to do with this.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Hugh Jackman. Thank you, Fritz, my guy.
Put them together.
Pat, Rick, Hugh, Wings.
Say it faster. You'll get
Patrick
it.
Ewing. I can't believe I said that out loud. Didn't get it. Patrick Ewing.
Rick's Hugh Wing.
You got me with that one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
So we're gonna start doing those every episode.
Right.
We're gonna have little Nictionaries, and it's good to see people in the chat being able to guess it. Something a little fun. Shout out to HRM. He liked that one, so appreciate you right there. But let's get into the talk. Okay, so we just lost 2. First, we take an L to the Heat, 115-107, which honestly it always hits that much harder when it's the Heat. It could be any other team, but if you're talking Heat, Boston, those sting a lot harder for us than any other, and the Pacers. And so that one was a hard one. Shout out to, the Twitter family, Deej, Tony, Kelly Kells, Kara, everybody that went out to Miami for that game. Shout out to them. I feel bad for them that they had to, witness that and then, get smoked and then walk out of the Miami arena because people had things to say. Nick and Nader was out there. But I want to focus more so on the last game where we lost to the Bucks, 111-121. And honestly, it was just crazy. Giannis straight ran through our team like it was nothing, like making OG look small, like pushing people around, just killing us in the paint. And then Ryan Rollins and AJ Green just destroyed us from the perimeter. And so that was kind of a hard game for me to watch. But what was your thoughts on that game and, your takeaways from the Knicks in that game right there?
How can I'll tell you what, the people who were pro keeping Cat and against trading him for Giannis didn't like that game at all. They did not like that game at all. It wasn't a good game for Cat. Cat didn't assert himself the way he should. He has this thing about him where he doesn't get position on wings the way he should. Is that kind of bothers me because you're a center, bro. Like you're way too big. You're way too big for you to not be able to put Kyle Kuzma in the post. You know what I mean? But that's not the reason we lost. I just think he had a bad game overall. I just think also once Giannis gets ahead full of steam, man, if Mitch isn't there, you pretty much don't really have anyone to guard him in there. He can do whatever he wants in that paint. It didn't help that Deuce was out that game as well to help with, guys like Rollins and AJ Green. Because I really think that's what really hurt us that game. It was just defense. We kept ourselves in the game the entire game. We were doing what we were supposed to do, but defensively, they just ran through us. And our bench once again could not shoot. I believe I forgot the percentage that they shot that game. Might have been 38%. No, I think that was the game before. But either way, we've got to shoot a lot better. These guys have these long streaks of not being able to hit shots. It's just it's going to be a grind. Last year, I gave Tibbs 20 games to get these guys figured out, and I'd be wrong if I didn't give Mike 20 games. I'm also not worried because we're just not healthy right now. Yeah. But also, I would like for us to just play more consistent basketball. But yeah, as far as Cat had to play a better game, and the guys just got steamrolled in the paint, and they did not adjust defensively. So that's pretty much all I really got from it.
So let me say this: when all the possible trade talks of getting rid of Cat for Giannis, I didn't know where I stood. I really didn't, because I wanted to make sure that I gave Cat the benefit of the doubt, because I believe that he is a very talented NBA star, all NBA, NBA All-Star, very, very talented. Mm-hmm. But what I watched last night is undeniable that Giannis is a different kind of animal. Mm-hmm. He just is. And so when I saw this morning on my, Twitter feed, this duo would be unstoppable. And I think of how Giannis played yesterday, and I think of how Brunson played yesterday, and I can't deny it. I can't deny how crazy that team would be. You think about it, I don't know who else we would have to give up, but even if we threw in a Josh Hart and a Miles McBride, imagine a starting lineup of freaking Jalen Brunson, freaking Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Giannis, and Mitch. That is insane. That is insane. And yes, we missed Mitch last night, but at the end of the day, you're not stopping Giannis. No. You're slowing him down. Mm-hmm. And that brings me to my next point of the future, because when you look, I think the only person that can stop or at least slow down a guy like Victor and what we're seeing Wembanyama do right now would be Giannis. Even Mitch, as great as he is, he's not slowing down Victor, So I start thinking about those games, and I'm just dang, what are we going to do when we play those kinds of guys? And so the Giannis thing looked appealing last night, but at the end of the day, I do want to say this. I put out a short. If you guys haven't watched it yet, head over to the KOT channel. But I broke down my thoughts on the Cat thing, because I do think 4 games is a little too early for people to be jumping out the window and, calling him, what they're calling him. But it doesn't look like he's comfortable in this new Mike Brown offense. No. He does not look comfortable. And a lot of people are yo, he's injured. He's injured. Listen, I understand that. But in the same way, me and Apollo last year still had to critique, or previous years, still had to critique Julius Randle when he was injured but playing. We still have to do the same thing with Cat. We didn't have kid gloves on then. We can't have kid gloves on now. We can't play that, a favorite. At the end of the day, if you're on the court, you're open to critique, because that's what we're watching and that's what we're seeing. And you're on the court for a reason. If you're too injured to play well, then you probably shouldn't be playing at all, Right. So at the end of the day, it does not look like he's confident, first. And second of all, when you talk to him in his post-game interview, it sounds very similar to how it sounded in preseason when they asked him about his position in the new offense. He does not sound or, sound comfortable in any way, shape, or form. And I'm going to play that little video real quick. Shout out to Knicks videos. But this video right here shows the lack of comfort, even in how he's presenting himself. So let's share this real quick. Start it over real quick, get some volume on it.
Mike Brown has talked about how because of you and the positions that you have to play and learn, like you probably have the steepest learning curve or the toughest job. Has it been a tough adjustment?
I mean, just, I gotta do whatever is needed to win. And, first half I played how we needed me to play. And, the game, I felt switched up and I tried to get going just in case we needed me. And I just didn't make a shot. So I pressed a little bit too much today. I have more experience than to do that. But I didn't do what we needed to do to win tonight, and that's on me. And I take full responsibility on that. Accountability is something big in this locker room, and I always will do that.
So, first, I'm thankful he's taking responsibility. But when you hear him, he does not sound confident at all. He does not sound confident in himself. He doesn't sound confident in, what they're doing. So I want to get your take on that. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to everybody that is in the chat right now. We got our guy Kareem Grant is in the building. Appreciate you for showing up. My guy Julian Bloom. What up, bro? What up? What up? We got Prezi here saying we need to trade Cat right now with a 10-piece Wingstop combo. Right here, we got Cat's weak, not all muscle, built the same. A lot of people feeling a certain way. Make that trade, fill its time. Good night, chat. It says God night chat, but good night, chat as well. Appreciate you, Sherwin, for being in the building. Nostalgic Nick, shout out. What up, my guy? Appreciate you. People calling me a Cat hater. The man does more to hurt the team than help. I don't think you're alone in that camp, Prezi. Sherwin, I feel like there's a good amount of people that feel that way. Me, I'm trying to give it, like Apollo said, a little bit more time to see how this thing actually works. And I'm hoping under Mike Brown's system with Mitch back, that takes some of the pressure off Cat and he can move a little more freely. But it is what it is. We'll see. Nostalgic Net said, never liked Cat, was just looking for an excuse to. I hear you, bro. There's people that feel the same way. Salute, fellas. Y'all smash that like button. Salute to the chat. Appreciate you, the man cave. Like he said, hit that smash button, hit that like button. And if you guys can, there's a little icon that I'm about to put at the top right here. YouTube doesn't really want to make sure that we can actually eat off of this thing in any way, shape, or form, but Buy Me a Coffee does. So if you got a phone and you're willing to send a few, bucks, it's similar to a super chat without all the, money being taken out by YouTube. So if anybody likes what we're doing, please give it a go. Right here, what a disgrace this fan base is to want to break up core of Brunson, Cat, and OG. I don't think it's a disgrace, bro. I feel like, everyone's got their own opinions and their own thoughts, and that's part of fandom. So we'll see. I'm going to throw it to Apollo before I read any other chat comments. But what's your thoughts on Cat right now and how he's looking with the offense? Because in that first half, he looked good. That second half was a train wreck, and Mike Brown attested to this, and we can listen to the interview after you talk. But I want to hear your thoughts on his performance so far, not just in that game, but in general. Seems a little uncomfortable.
Well, in general, every time I hear him speak about the system or anything, he sounds defeated. You know what I mean? He just doesn't sound like he understands why he has to do certain things within the system. I don't think he's against any of them. I just think he just has the harder time adjusting because of what his role is. The role, I guess it needs for you to be more defensive and moving around and as much as you can. And Cat he hasn't learned how to adjust to the system just yet. And I really think that's really what it is. He hasn't learned how to adjust to the system. But it's concerning to me because Cat is the kind of guy who you need, and he can get into his own head and run himself out of a game. And you don't need one of your best players getting into their own head and running themselves out of a game. I can't say that that's something I would ever see Jalen Brunson do. Or I mean, just because we're talking about him, or Giannis. You have to be able to work through these things. You know what I mean? A lot of times I see it's just like he's fighting hard, but he's not thinking through what he's doing.
Yeah.
And what starts to happen is he starts to dribble. One thing that no one's going to be able to defend for me, as far as I'm concerned, is I cannot stand how much he does not pass out of drives. It really bothers me, because he gets a head full of steam. He goes in and there's 2-3 guys in there sometimes, and he'll still go up instead of just the drop off. Just drop it off. You know what I mean? Not that I need him to average 7 assists. That's not what I'm asking. I'm just saying, if you're double, triple team, just look at a teammate. You know what I mean? Like, we're in a new system. Everyone's adjusting to it. Jalen Brunson's even adjusting to getting in the paint and spraying it out, which is exactly what the system that Mike Brown he's been talking about it since before we've seen them play. Yeah. That's exactly what we need him to do. You get into the paint and you spray out. That's exactly what he's counting how many sprays per game there is. So there was a little moment where Cat came out the game and the coach was talking to him for an extended period of time, and there has to be something that Cat is just not getting. You know what I mean? And it might take a while. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, because at this point they've gone through an entire training camp and they've played 4 games. So I don't know what he has to see versus what he has to adjust. So I think he's capable of adjusting. If the question is he better than Giannis? The answer is no. Obviously, no. Like, he hasn't won a championship. He hasn't been an MVP, a Finals MVP. So obviously, that if we're talking about who's the better player, then it's easy for people to say, yeah, I want Giannis over Cat. Easy to say that, and there's nothing wrong with saying it, honestly. Yeah. But personally, you have to adjust to what everyone else at this point has adjusted to. I thought Jalen Brunson was going to be the one that had to adjust the most, and it seems as though that it's not him. It's probably going to be Cat. So I think the season and whatever trade happens or doesn't happen is dependent on how well Cat plays. And hopefully he can adjust sooner than later, because we need him, man. We need him. And if he's not going to play up to par, I don't know how they keep him on this team. You know what I mean? I don't know. And it's not even just the Giannis thing. I'm just talking about Cat, just Cat in general. Like, he has to step it up. He has to be better. And that's pretty much it. You got to be better.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I understand it's a new system. I understand he's got quad stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I tried to paint 2 pictures. One kind of in defense for him, on the reel that I posted, that, he's always been that guy offensively, or that guy part B, when Ant came on. But his systems were always different. They were very ISO forward, offense kind of ran through him, ISO work, post ups, picks and pops, nothing really creative, very simplified, which is why it worked for him under Tibbs. It allowed those games where you can stack numbers and it still not turn into wins or like the betterment of the team. But that worked for him, because it was like a tag team match between him and Jalen Brunson. They were like the Bushwhackers or the Hardy Boys or, D-Generation X. It was whoever got the game. One was Triple H, one was Shawn Michaels. Like, you get this match, you shine in this one, I'll shine in the next one. So it was very ISO focused and very different than what's going on now. But it's crazy because at the end of the day, though, it's what do you do with it? And that's why I'm giving him a little bit more time to see what he does with it. Because yes, it might not be an ideal situation for his offense skill sets or what he's used to. But at the end of the day, the greats don't wait for opportunities to fit what they want. They make the opportunity the best in every situation that they're in. And you see that right now with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is doing the opposite. He's adapting, he's adjusting, he's advancing, and his numbers aren't suffering. Matter of fact, the ball movement that we're seeing right now is actually making Jalen Brunson's game look more effortless.
Mhm.
Like his threes are looking better. They're
Yeah.
not forced. His ISOs don't have to be forced because people know that he's willing to spray it out,
Yeah.
these days. They would always lock him down after, a certain amount of time in a game because all he was doing is forcing drives. But
Yeah.
now he's passing out, and it's giving different opportunities and different looks for the rest of the team. And it's making his ISO plays that much prettier and that much more effective. And you saw that with Cat, because you said something about him not kicking out. But if you look, some of the first few plays with Cat, he drew the defense in and then did kick it out.
He
And
did,
so
yeah.
that's why Mike Brown was like, like he starts to adapt to the system and then
And then he
reverts
stops.
back
Yeah.
to his ways,
Mhm.
and so that's one thing that Mike Brown is telling him is like, you looked great when you were on the same page with the team in that first half. But in that second half, you went a different route and you suffered and we suffered, for it. So that's my thoughts on that. Like, I'm going to give it more time, but I really would like to see him adapt a little bit more, because Jalen Brunson he's averaging 27 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 5 assists while constantly keeping the ball moving and not forcing his body to get beat down by drawing, by driving into the paint every single play. And
Yeah.
so I want to see more of that from Cat, because we're seeing it from the other guys, and I think it's going to flow better. And I'm hoping that it flows better when Mitchell Robinson comes back.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to say before we transition to the next part of that conversation is, every time that there is a Cat miss up, if y'all on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram can stop freaking resulting in posting about Tibbs and Randall and how we lost that trade and how we should have, like, every
Hate
time
it.
Cat does something wrong, you guys result back to the Randall and Tibbs days. It's over. It's time for y'all to move on. It's like a guy who can't get rid of his ex-girlfriend's picture in his wallet 3 years later. Like, it's embarrassing. Y'all need to chill it out. You've been seeing those tweets and stuff like that too?
It's hard not to see it. I mean, and that's what you kind of expect. Like, everybody who wanted Tibbs to be here still, every single time Mike has a bad game, they're gonna point it out. They're gonna point it out every single time. And a lot of people still don't like what they're seeing in Mike Brown. And I personally think that it looks a whole lot better. They just don't have they don't have a full team. You know what I mean? And a lot of people might think that we're just blowing smoke because we like Mike Brown. Honestly, no, there's ball movement, there's player movement. They're playing defense again out in transition. You know what I mean? It's just things that they haven't really been doing for the past 4 years. In the past 2 games, obviously Deuce hasn't been there, and he has a lot to do with both ends of the floor. So I think Deuce being there and Mitch being there for the next game hopefully will change some things. But yeah, man, it's gonna take a minute for these guys to get adjusted to the system, and once they do, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, and to those that don't think Mike Brown's doing anything, like, we had Tibbs, who was supposed to be the defensive mastermind, okay? And our defense was basura last year. Like, we were always, in games that we were losing the lead because our defense was horrible. Right now, we're fourth place in the league for teams that allow the least amount of points in a game. So we're doing it defensively. We're all moving. You look at all the players, everybody's eating, like, I think what's happening is, Cat's having some struggles. Mitch has been gone. Miles missed the last 2 games. And then, as much as I like Clarkson, it's been hit or miss trying to figure out his position in the game. But most of all, Yabusele, as much as I like Yabu, he hasn't shown up yet to this season. He hasn't done anything yet for us. So shout out to everybody in the chat. We got some more people in here right here. We survived 100 people. What are you going to say?
No, I'm just seeing these guys in the chat, and they're saying that that Tibbs' offense. What I'm saying is the defense. If you haven't seen the rotations on the defense being a lot different than they were last year, then you're not watching the game. You're watching to say that Tibbs is better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's been so many plays, even when they're losing, where they rotate to the guy the way they're supposed to rotate. You know what I mean? In which they weren't doing last year. Guys were just wide open all the time last year. From 3, they were open all the time. And I'm seeing way better adjustments on defense. They just got to get better. That's it.
Facts. Yeah, and I love that. It's so true. You know, the amount of, you know, change we've seen in the defense. The defense's pace is better. You know, the offense's pace is better. So I don't understand, you know, those that don't see any change, because the change is there. And so we'll answer a few more questions from the chat before we bring up our guests. Hold on. Let's see right here. And we're just going to answer this real quick. Ally State of Mind said, Phil, let me ask you this. If you had an opportunity to get a Hall of Famer in Giannis in his prime, why would we give Cat more time since our window is now? Honestly, like I said last night, it's hard for me to justify not doing that trade. Like if that was even a possibility. I couldn't say no. Like I couldn't, like me personally, not because I dislike Cat, because I like Cat, but because you can't deny what Giannis is.
The talent, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't deny what him and Brunson could do together, you know, and then you throw in a defense of like Mitch and Anunoby and McHale, and it's just like, you're not stopping us offensively and you're not scoring on us defensively, you know, like, so I don't know, bro. What are your thoughts? Would you do that trade? I would.
It depends on what the trade is.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's true.
mean? It depends on what the trade is. I don't see a world where Giannis doesn't have a no trade clause that they settle for whatever we're willing to give them.
Yeah.
If I'm just being honest, I
Yeah.
don't see that happening. If he comes to New York via trade, it will be a trade that absolutely benefits Milwaukee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no way we're gonna give up. Guys are talking about to give up OG and picks. I'm like, who do you think Giannis is, guys? Like, what is going on here? Like, there's no way that trade is happening. Now, if we're talking Giannis, it's probably looking like Josh, OG, Mitch, and maybe some picks for just Giannis. You know what I mean? So, am I willing to do that? I'd have to really sit and think about it, the pros and cons, like just face value. I can't just say yeah. But if I have to give up OG, now Josh, so, you know, he hasn't really been himself lately.
I like Josh. Josh can go for Giannis for sure.
Yeah, I like Josh. Of course, Josh is my favorite Nick, but not that he's great, but he just energy wise is my favorite Nick. But Mitch as well. If you're giving me Giannis, Mitch, Josh, OG, and picks, I mean, I might be able to accept it. And because I know for a fact it's not just going to be Giannis, it's going to be the Giannis's, the Antetokounmpos.
Yeah. We're getting rid of some bench players for his brothers,
Right.
The cookout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
But I just don't see them making a trade to the Knicks if there are other options, other teams that think that he'll stay
Unless
there.
he demanded the trade, you know, like kind of thing. All right, we'll do this, and then we're gonna do intros in a sec. I see you, Dixon. I see you, Matt. I just put something in the chat real quick, private chat. If you see it on the right hand side, and then I'm gonna get you up here really, really soon. Just yes or no answer to this one. All right. The Pelicans are looking to trade Zion. I am all in for Zion and Herb Jones for Cat. The salary matches perfectly.
No.
Would you do it? Yes or no? No.
Sorry.
All right.
No.
I'm gonna be the bad guy, and I'm gonna say yes.
I'm not
and
doing
the
it.
only reason I'm gonna say yes is because if you saw the match between the Pelicans and the Spurs, Zion was the only one physically able to make any problems for Wemby, and Wemby had hard times stopping Zion and his explosiveness. Now that he doesn't look like he, you know, is on the, you know, year supply of the number 3 meal at McDonald's anymore, like he looks like the kind of player that we wanted from the get-go. So I'm gonna say yes on that one. Real quick, let's look at the chat. Carbon Intellect, appreciate you, bro, so much. The wrestling terms is nostalgic. I know I kind of age myself when I start talking references like wrestling and stuff like that when WWE was actually good and it was WWF. But anyway, Brunson is amazing. Facts. We're going to talk about that with Dixon in a second because right here, he's my standout performance of the game last night, but we'll get there. Jalen Iverson, facts, aka Captain Clutch. Brunson Burner. Prezzi's just got every nickname that you could think of right here. Mitch is fragile as glass. Yeah, that's why he's not playing, but hopefully that changes very soon. Tibbs slowed the offense to help the defense. No, that's basura. Tibbs slowed the offense because he didn't know how to have an offense. Like Tibbs was just outdated. Time to move on. Let's see what else. I don't care about all that. Drama. Zion always hurt. So is Mitch. Let's move on. All right, bet. So without further ado, you guys, I'm going to bring up my guy, Dixon Dedman. If you don't know who Dixon is one of my favorite brands right now. All right, because he puts on nonstop heat, like this thing right here that we're going to drink. This is the sneakerhead right here. All right, last season we had him on the show and we talked about the vinyl blend. So we're not going to talk about that one today, but I also don't want to waste his or my time going through all like the history and stuff like that, because we did that last season talking about the episode. So if you missed it, that's on you. You should have been here. That's your fault. I'm not going to have any pity parties for you, but I am going to put the link in so that you can redeem yourself and you can watch the episode very soon. But I'm not here to pamper your mistakes. I'm here to bring on Dixon Dedman and talk Knicks and talk about this beautiful blend. And then before we actually have sipping notes, I'm going to bring up our enemy for the night, Mr. Matt Kusik. So without further ado, here is my guy and friend of the channel, because you can't say he's a guest anymore. Like, he's been here before. Like, he feels comfortable. He's not even wearing shoes probably. We're going to bring up Mr. Dixon friggin' Dedman.
What's going on, man?
It is what it is. I love it. I love it. This is always fun. Always fun to get invited back for anything. Normally it's like, yeah, how big a fool did I act the last time? And when it comes back around, it's like, okay, all right, I guess not that bad. But Apollo, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm healing. We're healing from this Achilles tear. So I'm pretty good, man. In good spirits.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Matt, Mr. Dixon Dedman, I got to ask, what have you been up since the last time we chopped it up with you?
A lot of the same, man. I mean, life is good. Things are busy. Little more travel, always a little more travel than I would like, but it's good. And brand is good. Brand is healthy. I'm not sure that I'm ready for, to start talking Knicks and NBA just yet. I mean, I feel like it's still college football weather out there, but let's get into this and let's make a plan. I like it. I like where we're going with this, but everything's good, man.
See, it's one of those things that when I was younger, I was a diehard for every sport, and then I started doing Knicks content, and I could no longer justify the fact that I have to watch every single game, sometimes more than once, to be able to be ready for these shows, to justify to my family that I'm also then, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to start watching this sport and then that sport. They're like, nah, bro, you need to choose. Like, you're either die hard for this or you can watch them all. And I'm like, all right, I got to go all in. So luckily for me, my Jets suck every single year. So it's like, I watched the first game and I'm like, yep, still basura. I don't need to watch the rest of the season. I'm good. Then my Yankees, it's like, I know they're going to be in the playoffs, so I'll just wait to see them there. Like, I'll catch a few games with my brother here and there. There we go. See, I knew I liked you.
There you go.
Sad way for us to go out this year, but there's always next year. At least Aaron Judge didn't disappear in the playoffs this year. I'm thankful for that. But so I gotta stay. College football, I watched it when my cousin was playing, and then when he stopped playing, I was like, all right, back to Knicks only. So have you been watching the season at all?
I have, but what I love even more than that is now that this season is like, I mean, one, it's so long, but two, now, like right now you're talking about, okay, what is this team? And then I just caught the tail end of it, but how could this team change? What changes could potentially happen? it's it's really fascinating to think about. Like, okay, you get to look at your team, and it's not like, all right, we're gonna be this or we're gonna be that. It's like, okay, we got some holes.
Yeah.
What? I mean, do we need Zion? Like, come on, like.
Well, that's the thing about the Knicks fan base. Like, as soon as last season was done, we were thinking about changes that we needed to do for this season. Like, that's just how the Knicks run. Like, there's so many people that even during preseason, like, we're like, yep, we got to get rid of this guy. He's trash. Why did we, like, it was like,
y'all
y'all
shot Big Cat. Y'all have shot Big Cat on this show already tonight. Like he, just it diced him up. Any find a home.
It's hard because he's so good, like, and then when he's bad, he's so bad in those games, that it makes it hard for a team that's trying to win a chip. Like, for us, this is chip season. We went all in. We have Brunson for a certain amount of time. Like, they are trying to win a chip. They let go of, Tom Thibodeau, who was like best friends, with so many people in the head office because they want that chip now. So I think, some fans are a little ridiculous. Like, after 4 games, like, trade them right now, like for, a number 5 from, Shake Shack, and whatever future pick you can get. I'm not going that far, but like the fact that I hear that we were in talks about possible Giannis trade and didn't want to move Cat. And I'm like, come on, like, looking how Giannis moves, it's hard to like justify that. He takes 5 steps from the 3-point line and he's dunking on you, the only other person more impressive is Wemby taking 1.5 steps from the 3-point line and dunking on you. But I'm still happy with this team. So what are your thoughts on the things that the Knicks did in the offseason and how we're looking so far under Mike Brown?
What I love, I just, it's funny because you got your Bulls fan, Matt, coming on here. And I was, I had to go to my expert today to get kind of, and my expert is my 12-year-old 6th grader who is, he's a hooper. He is all about, he's a shoe rat, loves, with our conversation on the way to school is always who dropped this last night and who did that and who, whatever. And, I was talking, we were talking about it. I was like, there's Jalen, there's Big Cat, and then, a surrounding cast of really good college players from Midwestern college programs. Like, we just, now the Knicks went and found, okay, who is the best player from Missouri in the last 5 years? Let's go get him. Who is the best player from Indiana in the last 5 years? Let's go get him. And I mean, you just got a stable of athletes. Like, you got, can they end up playing together? I don't know. Like, it's kind of to be determined, right? Like, you got a whole bunch of firepower. To me, it just like, can it mesh? You know what I mean? Like, can it? So that I love that the Knicks will never win a championship with Cat. I mean,
it's an opinion. It's definitely.
It's just like, to me, I just don't. If I look at the Knicks, I'm like, it seems like you got 1, 2, and who's the third? That whole thing where they say you got to have like 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing is, like, I think OG or McHale can rise to that, and they're starting to now. But with Cat not really meeting up to that number 2 spot, that number 3 is now looking like they have to be the number 2 until he figures it out. Like, what's your thought, Apollo?
So I don't know, man. I just feel like OG depending on the night, he's the third guy. And then Mikal, depending on the night, is the third guy. I personally like a lot more of what I've seen from Mikal this year versus last year. I just think he's a lot more confident where he's taking his shots from. Of course, the defensive part of it is that's just who he is. But offensively, he's looking to get some buckets. He's finishing at the basket, something that I wanted him to do a lot better last year. Yeah. He's bringing the ball up. He's setting guys up. For a lot of the game, it looks like Mikal is the guy who's really going to set things up. But then OG usually he takes a lot of the bigger shots. He takes shots that mean more, OG. So I'm not sure if that raises him to that third guy. But I tend to trust Mikal a little bit more with the ball, and that's pretty much how I look at it. It depends on who's being guarded by who and what night. There's no true third guy. I feel like they share that third guy duty.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that over the season we'll see more and more, but I am thankful that Mikal looks a lot more confident to take the ball in, to get some contact this season, because he seemed allergic to contact last year. Yeah. It seemed like he was doing everything to stay away from anyone touching even his shoulder or his arm in the paint. But now he's being a little more confident, and I'm thankful for that. But regardless,
the game has slowed down for him.
Yeah.
It was frantic, and he's comfortable. You know what I'm saying? He's always had game, but he seems like he kind of lets it come to him instead of racing towards it. And then, then it was like you say, the touch or the whatever, he was just off.
Well, if you look at it, everywhere he played before, they didn't really run the slow paced ISO offense. When he was playing in Phoenix, there was a lot of ball movement, between him and Cam Johnson and Campaign and, all that stuff. And then when he went to Brooklyn, it was them two again, him and Cam, but they were all moving it because no one was the star, it was just a whole bunch of players that, they were trying to see what they had. And so everyone was kind of moving with the ball. And then he came here and he didn't really have an identity offensively, So it seems like now he's a little more comfortable in a fast-paced offense. He's able to slow down his game, which is crazy, that a faster offense allows him to slow down and figure out who he really is as, a New York Knick, which I love. Shout out to my guy right here, Mr. Still Knicks fan, Ron himself, one of the most soulful voices in the whole Knicks community. Appreciate you, my guy. Sounds like an R&B station every time I watch his show.
He can be mad and it sounds like R&B.
He does. It's crazy. Hello, ladies, you're watching the Knicks. It's dang, bro. Slow down. So shout out to Ron right there. So we're going to get ready to crack this whiskey. But first, I want to give a shout out to this guy right here, Mr. Jalen Brunson, because you want to talk about adapting. This guy is adapting from slow ISO to now moving without the ball, still getting 2 nights ago, 36 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 assists, and 1 block. Seriously, little guys getting blocks. I like it. Good job, Jalen Brunson. I appreciate you. Not great 3-point percentage. He'll work on that, hopefully, because we were chucking up some bricks. But everything else looked incredible. And so I want to give a shout out real quick before we drink this beautiful bottle right here that we're going to have Mr. Dixon Dedman talk about. This is that sneaker blend for all you sneakerheads, which is probably every single person in the chat, because New York, we like our fashion. It's just how we are. So I want to give a shout out to my guy, Brian. His brand's called Bottled to Bond, and that's what I'm going to drink out of right now. And that's this little thing right here. All right.
Oh, I wish I'd known. I'd have brought mine. I love that thing.
It's so cool.
I've got one of those somewhere close by. He's my guy.
I love it.
Hook me up.
What I like about it is I like the Age Denor one as well that I have when I travel, because it's a full-on pour if I'm watching a game in a hotel or something like that for work. But if I'm going to a bottle share or something like that, this is the perfect size take to a bottle share, to take to a friend's house, and not have to have like full on pours since I'm tasting so many different things. And I don't have to drink my pours out of those nasty little plastic sampling cups that they have at every like bourbon event or every like bottle share. This little thing is perfect size for a pour. You know, this is just great. So shout out to Brian for sending me this, sending Apollo this. Like, he's one of the sponsors of today's episode. So follow them on Instagram, Bottled to Bond. I'll put the link up very, very shortly. But let's talk about this. And then before we
I would say this, he's also just a super good dude. Like, just a really cool guy. Has shared that with a lot of people, shared that with me. On a long flight, I'm the bougie guy that pulls out my my Bottled to Bond glass. I'm like, so totally agree. That's awesome.
I love it. I love it. So Sneakerhead. All right. 104 proof. Tell us just a little bit about this pour.
Yeah. I mean, the Sneakerhead was, is actually, the one prior to vinyl. The Sneakerhead is one that still, it has stayed with me. It is probably the biggest of all the Icon series. It's probably got the most weight, definitely the most kind of spice on the back end, like the long finish, the big, heavy. And it's just all about the mouthfeel and viscosity of Sneakerhead. It's just really rich, viscous, syrupy. I'm not a big tasting notes guy. I actually can't stand tasting notes. I don't really care to talk about hints of caramelized French toast and toasted giraffe hoof and whatever. Like I know that I like it. When I can just taste it and I say, this touches all the right places. This just kind of hits and that's truly why I think this blend itself is one of my favorites. Selfishly, it's also my favorite because I didn't really, kind of take into play the, what might come from it. If you name a whiskey, the Sneakerhead, I got about, I'd say I got 8 to 10, if not more, gifted pairs of like super dope custom sneakers out of naming a whiskey the Sneakerhead. Like if you were like, oh, I make sneakers, I made you these 2XO sneakers. So it was the collateral was pretty cool from this one, but I just think honestly, in terms of just a straight easy sipping, like I can just sit here and taste this, and I taste it a second time and I get something different, and I taste it a third time, and I love where it's at, but it's kind of a progression of tastes and flavors. So it's just one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I love it. And for y'all that are looking, like this is for me. All right, so quick little story. My son is on this new little kick. Like we'll be going somewhere and he'll see something and I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's dope. And he looks at me, he goes, Dad, you know what that is? And I was like, what? He's like, marketing. It's not that cool, but they're using so-and-so to get your attention. I'm a marketing like sucker. Like I just am. I worked graphic design and all that stuff previous to being a full-time photographer. So I love branding. And so when 2XO started releasing these bottles, I was hooked. Like the all black labels with the gold foil. I was just like, I don't even care if this is trash. I want this on my collection because it looks dope. So like when you look, you got like the vinyl blend, you got, and as you can see, I've done a pretty big dent in this bottle. Right here, sneaker blend. I love the branding and everything like that. But what's kind of dope is that like the juice is actually incredible as well. My wife and I had, cracked this open last night just to chop it up. And we both were huge fans. So we're going to talk about what Dixon doesn't like talking about, which is the tasting notes, because that's what me and Matt get sent bottles to do. is give tasting notes. But before I bring him up, all right, this is the segment of our show called Enemy Territory. And that's who we're bringing up. We're bringing up the enemy, a Chicago Bull fan, a whiskey content creator, but also a good guy and a huge sneakerhead, which is the reason why I brought him up, because you'll see when I bring him up, his sneaker collection looks way better than mine, and it pisses me off. He probably gets some of those free as well, and I want to fight him for it. So it is what it is. So we're going to bring him up for this segment. And
enemies have been attacking us for centuries. Our walls still stand.
so we're going to bring up, without further ado, my guy, and hopefully by the end of this episode, your guy, Mr. Matt Cusick. What up, what up, what up? Up, you're muted.
Muted.
Bull's mistake. Rookie. It says you're still muted. Let me see if I can unmute you. Nope, you can't unmute your guest because they chose to mute themselves.
Not at all.
There
You
you
a size
go.
13?
What up, what up?
StreamYard changes every time. So we record our podcast twice a month, and it feels like every time I log into StreamYard, it's something different, bro. But if you're a size 13, I got you. Yes, some of these are free. And Dixon, I got you, because guess what? I hate tasting notes too. They get way too geeky and in depth. And I was thinking about this before you even said that. Sneaker to me is like a ride in a very well-worn pair of Air Max. Because that is the mouthfeel that I got. Like it does. Like it's syrupy on the, but not in a bad syrupy where it's like sweet and it punches you in the mouth, right? Like that's the big thing that people I think with like tasting notes don't get all the time is like mouthfeel is so important. Definitely, we got some 2XO AJ1s, but that's not why you called, or is it? Because I got the sneakers, I got the whiskey, and I got the Bulls. So
we'll figure out why. Well, at the end of the day, at the end of this episode, I'll decide if it was a good idea to bring you on here or not. But let's do this. If you want, turn your phone horizontal. I want them to see a little more of that sneaker collection.
Yeah. So a little bit about me, guys. I co-host the Swoosh Life podcast, so I do have some Halloween sneakers. Just picked up the new Jaws. Picked up the KDs, put those in the back. So the background always kind of changes. But Swoosh Life Podcast, we are a golf podcast. So I know Dixon's got the Kiowa Island. He's got a little golfer. He's got a little sneakerhead. So I got the whole Masters collection there. They did not send me all of those. They did send me the Peaches from 2 years ago. And then, I'm from Chicago. So, I got the East Side Golf sixes. This is one of my favorite pairs in the last few years. We got some, they sent me the UNC ones.
Gosh,
on that one.
Nice.
For the golf heads. See, you guys, nobody ever gets a look inside the man shed here, the man cave. So this is an exclusive look here. At the top, this is how you know I was in the game a long time. These are 2016 before golf exploded.
Wow.
Double denim 11s. Like, how sick would these have been if they made them for the street?
That's insane.
That's
are
nice.
my guy
Concords.
said, let me get a pair. I'm a size 13.
Bro, they used to. So this is what they used to do back in the day. They would put golf soles. So that's a free outsole on a pair of 6 lows.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And tell me that these 6 lows don't look better than regular street 6 lows. Like they do, like these 12 lows that they cut. These are like perfect, bro. Like,
wow, those are nice.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
the golf division's cooking. When the PGA Championship was in Valhalla. So check this out. So they did wood grain Pegasus golf sneakers.
Oh,
fire.
But and I haven't confirmed it, but I think the gray is for the limestone water that is famous
those are
in Kentucky.
Those are the free Scotty editions.
That's right. That's right.
Free Scotty Scheffler editions.
Those 9s are sick as heck, bro.
Oh, these are your New York guy. You guys got to get Happy Life wood on.
Oh my gosh, those are sick.
Those are fire.
So bro designs like he did a Knicks jersey out of wood. I'll connect you guys. He did a Knicks jersey out of wood, and he doesn't stain the wood. He doesn't do anything. He just uses different types of wood. But then they gave him like his own 9. So this came out around Augusta.
This is what you need now, Matt. So you need a pair of these.
There we go.
See that?
Oh,
see
nice.
that painted wood grain on there with the
love it.
2XL, nice.
And then you've made it when you got your signature on a pair right there.
That's sick. I love it. It's funny, Dixie, because anytime like you were like the first guy to get like his own custom shoes done for whiskey. because I know there's some other brands that have done it recently.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, but it's funny because everybody then hits me up and they're like, "Yo, are you getting these?" And I'm like, he doesn't know who I am. Dixon don't know.
That's right.
I'm nobody.
I've
That's
been Matt Cusick fanboying for years, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. I appreciate
love
that.
it.
I think
Glad
we're
I
all
could
Ryan
make this-
Cecil fanboys. That's what we are. We're Ryan Cecil fanboys.
Glad I could make this love connection on the Knicks Nightcap, bringing people together. Let's turn it horizontal though, so that we get a little more of your
Oh yeah.
All right. So I want to right here. I just posted in the link. Shout out to my guys at Preet Liquors. They've been like incredible to work with in New York. Really great people. They actually got a really dope Gem of Kentucky 2XO pick right now with some of my homies that picked it. So I just posted the link to Preet Liquors. For those of you guys that are watching, you can pick up 2XO from my guys at Preet. And you know, we love the partnership that we've been able to get with them. They actually just sent me a giant box of a bunch of their store picks to highlight throughout the season. So I'm wicked pumped about that. But let's talk with you real quick, Mr. Cusick. We know that, you know, you are Mr. Sneakerhead and everything like that, but also a content creator for the whiskey community. How long you been creating content in the whiskey scene?
Depends on how you define content, right? So around, you know, like I've been in the community since 2010. Like I was collecting all this kind of stuff. And then in 2020 is when I started writing. So there was a website called maltreview.com. I used to write with Frank, Burbeer Enthusiasm.
Yep.
For those that don't know Frank Dobbin, that's my guy. We wrote on this. We have an article where we wrote together, and that's like my that's my crowning achievement. But the website went under because
quick shout out to Frank.
Shout out Frank.
On the 13th.
I'll drink to my boy Frank.
I love Frank. He's one of the first guys that I hung out with outside of Twitter that didn't live around me and Instagram. And me and him hit up a bar in New York and just like kicked it all night. Talking hip hop, talking basketball. And so in, I believe, 2 weeks, he's actually going to be on the episode with Pete from Rare Character. And they will be showcasing, and I'm super thankful, their new bottle of Old Cassidy, which is Frank's line of Rare Character. And so I'll be popping that open with Frank on the episode and chopping it up. So shout out to Frank. But yeah, give us a little more of your history.
Oh, and then Frank and we would actually get on after Bulls Knicks games and we'd start doing Instagram lives. And, you know, I kind of came up on Twitter and writing. And then with the Instagram, like I kind of cooled off on it a little bit. But when we were doing the lives, I'm like, there's something to this. Like people love video. It was also the pandemic, right? Like we were all locked away. We were all doing that kind of stuff. So I said, you know what? I think I want to be a fan again. So when the website shut down, I kind of doubled down on making reels. The unboxing videos have been big for me last few years. And when I say big, like guys, like I only got like whatever I got. I don't have a huge following. But yeah, so now I'm more of like a creator than a writer. But also Dixon, to your point, like nobody's got the time to read. You know, the reason I started making content, guys, is because when I was collecting, so this is like 2014, 2015, when I was collecting, I wanted to watch this guy's video, and it was on it wasn't I got another story about Kentucky Owl, Dixon, if you let me. But this guy was doing a review on old Rip Van Winkle. And I'm like, man, is old Rip Van Winkle worth it? You know, dudes are asking like $650 at the time for it. Everybody's chasing it. This dude's video on one bottle was 11 minutes. I'm like, I ain't watching no video for 11 minutes. So I started putting like 2-minute videos in the Facebook groups before Pursuit was doing their whiskey quickies, by the way. And I was like, there's something to this. So when like Instagram came about, I'm like, yo, this is where the 2-minute review lives. Because people just want you to. This is what I love about New York, by the way. New York, I got nothing but love for y'all. The pizza, the people, the community, and the fact that y'all talk fast and you talk to the point, because that's how I've made my living. Is yo, like we ain't got time to talk about your grandmama and where she went to college. Like, no offense. But, you know, down south, people want to spin a yarn and they want to, you know, they want to know where the family's from. New York's like, yo, what you got for me? Let's go. So I was in New York for the Ryder Cup with Nike. And, you know, the content has bled over now, Phil. It's over. Like, it's like, yo, I'm not. And people always ask me, they're like, yo, why do you use your real name? And I'm getting long winded. And this is the last part. Why do you use your real name? It's because I was trying to be a writer. I was trying to be like a David Thomas Tao. My guy who writes for Vine Pair. I was trying to be, and Frank, you know, Frank started his bird.
Bread and butter, like he kills that.
Bro, they're so talented, you know. And I remember when Frank sent me a sample article, and I told my editor at Malt, I'm like, yo, this guy's the best writer I've ever read. So like beneath like all the knowledge and all that stuff, Frank's the GOAT in my opinion.
Yeah.
Longevity GOAT, Fred Minnick, GOAT. That's my guy. So I can't wait to talk this Giannis stuff. Oh, Giannis is a diva would destroy. Okay, anyways, yeah, but so that's my story on how I got into all the content creation. Appreciate you.
That's awesome. All right, so Apollo's got a few minutes left. So Apollo, knowing that this guy is a great dude, but has horrible taste in basketball, like there hasn't been a reason to be a Chicago Bulls fan since Jordan retired. So I don't really understand that. But if you have any questions for him and why, he's got great taste in whiskey, but horrible taste in hoops, this is your time right here, bro.
Well, I listen. Anyone who's had to deal with Zach LaVine for the amount of time that they did, I don't have much to say to you. You guys already deal with a lot. That was a hard little stint there. But regarding the Bulls, man, I've always had this question, and it's I guess it's something that I've never really put into words, like it's out loud. But when you've won as a franchise, the way you've won with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and that whole entire run, what does success feel like after that? You know what I mean? Like what would it take for it to feel like you guys have a successful team again? I mean, of course, the Derrick Rose run was great as well. Spoiled by LeBron, of course, but
yeah, this is good. This is a good one.
Yeah, who else hasn't been spoiled by LeBron? But what does success look like to you guys once you've been at the top for the amount of time you guys were at the top for?
Man, bro, I'm gonna dude, this is such a good question because I could almost flip it back to you guys. Like, what's a successful season for you guys? Like, you're saying chip or not, right? So if you say chip or not, then the D Rose years, yeah, they were bad. But then you could also say, like, man, that guy was a unicorn, bro. Like, everybody still loves D Rose. Like, you know how many people put up Instagram videos of like, yo, what if D Rose never got hurt? He's the Anthony Hardaway of our generation, and even more successful because he won an MVP. So it's like, yeah, you're not. Here's the thing. Every year, only one team is going to win the championship. So, like, how do you define success, right? Yeah. And, if, like, I think this is where we are kindred spirits. We both have horrible owners. Yours is just more visible than ours is. Like, he actually, he travels around and he does things. But we're both in big markets. And, if they make it to the second round of the playoffs, ownership's happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think,
like that.
One of the things that we see a lot is that both Chicago and New York, obviously big whiskey markets, and a lot of whiskey consumption takes place during kind of the basketball season, right? The winter months. And so, for the whiskey community, the fact that both your teams have sucked for so long has been really good for booze sales. I mean, it's been a really good thing for so we
you're welcome.
Whiskey people appreciate it.
You're welcome, Dixon.
Sorry.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Apollo. Like, the other thing too is, like, my fandom is changing. Like, with NBA and NBC going on Peacock, like, I'm finally like feeling what the League Pass people have felt, where it's like, yo, the NBA is forcing me to not watch my home team. I am watching other teams. I am becoming more of a League fan than a Bulls fan, and I hate to say that. I hate the way that feels. So it's like, yo, do I need a championship every year? No. It is hard when you watch the GOAT win 6.
Yeah.
Like, yo, that is crazy. Like, in my junior high school era, every springtime I could bank on going down and, like, yo, at some weeknight celebrating a Bulls championship and maybe watching people bust in and out of a Foot Locker. Maybe, right? Wow. I ain't saying I was in the Foot Locker. I'm just saying I was around it. Okay. It was amazing. And, like, we took it for granted. It's almost probably like Patriots fans where, like, every other year Brady and Belichick were winning a chip.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, how do you temper expectations? And I will say this. So big shout out to my guy, Jason Goff. I might have to have him on here. Jason Goff, he's part of the Ringer podcast. Bill Simmons, shout out to Spotify, is the gang. I steal a lot of your talking points, Jay, because I listen to every podcast. He was the pre and post game host of the Bulls. He talks about a lot of this stuff, man. It's like, yeah, like there were people that were Michael Jordan fans. They weren't Bulls fans.
Yeah.
They were just there for Mike. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, like me, like I love basketball. It is my hometown team. Just like you guys have suffered, like those Patrick, like post Patrick Ewing years. Lean, real lean, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I want to forget the John Starks in a Bulls uniform year. I want to forget some of that stuff. You know, you say Rajon Rondo in a Bulls uniform, but you know what, bro? I'm so happy. I will say this. I'm proud to say I was watching that game live when Michael Jordan pinned Ron Mercer's shit against the backboard as a Washington Wizard, right? Because it was like, okay, Mike still got
two
it.
hands.
But I was watching Ron Mercer, overrated Kentucky player. Sorry, Dixon. Good. He was like a Levine, good second or third player, probably a better third player on a good team. I know a lot of people around the league hate Zach. Zach was a good soldier here, though. You know,
he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
There's a lot of parallels between Vooch and Cat that I think you guys don't realize. Like, let me ask you, because you guys were ragging on Cat. What big besides Jokic really does like run his own offense? Like every big is dependent on the ball. So every big by definition has to be the second or third option. So when the guards fall in love with themselves, and this is what I see, like look, I played low level D3 basketball, right? But the thing about Tibbs' offense, who always gets off in the Tibbs offense? The guards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
The point guards, Derek D-Rose, right? D-Rose, Ricky Rubio, even like for a little bit in Minnesota, right?
Yep.
Like Tibbs is like, ice, do what you want on offense. Ice, do what you want on offense, right? Like you said the rotations are still good. Just wait. Game 25, I'm calling it. Those rotations are falling apart because Tibbs is not out there screaming, ice.
Yeah.
Love Tibbs. I hate that. This is probably going to be where people say he's probably a C to B coach, not a championship B to A coach. And I think that's BS because he will be a championship coach one day.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
I
would disagree with you on that one. I think Tibbs will die, before sniffing the championship. That's just my thoughts. But Apollo,
I'm 50-50 on that hot take.
I know you got to go, Apollo.
I will say that if Tibbs is lucky enough to get a really, really good team, and allow them to coach him, that's the other part. I think that he could, depending on the team. It depends on the team, though.
100%.
It has to be a team with guys who are used to a lot of ISO basketball, of course. But I think there's a realm where that can happen.
Well, that's what I'm hoping is that it's not third time's the charm, that fourth time's the charm. And that the new owner will be like, yo, Tibbs, I got a championship-ready team, veterans that want to win. They will listen to you. But, yo, you got to get an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Like, you need structure on this offense. And this is what Tibbs won't tell you. He knows all those players, NBA players love minutes. They love minutes. So any player, any coach, any player that says, none of those players talk bad about Tibbs. They all love him.
Yeah.
Because Tibbs giving them 40 minutes. And you know what 40 minutes means? More points, more rebounds, more assists, which means more money and more bigger contract. And then what you guys got to live with now is Brunson, right? Brunson got the money. Cat's got the money. And now you guys are stuck.
Yeah.
And that's where we were.
We're not stuck. Championship this year. Gosh. All right. Before I let Apollo go, while this trash talk is over here, actually, no. I want to apologize. All right. And right here, I want to make sure.
Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. That's bad manners, eh?
So I apologize for interrupting your mistakes. But before I let Apollo go, we did just order these dope little stickers because we're trying to have some fun with this thing. So I want to showcase these stickers on the site. They're on their way from moo.com. And it's a little tribute to our guy, Mr. Walt Clyde Frazier. So it's these beautiful stickers right here. A little bit of Swishin and Sippin, because that sounds like something Clyde Walt Frazier would say if he actually enjoyed some whiskey. And these suits are actually from Mr. Clyde's collection himself. So I'm rocking that beautiful thing right there. And Mr. Apollo is rocking that beautiful thing right there. So these stickers are coming very, very soon, and we will have those available on the KOT website. And so shout out to my guy Prezi asking for some Glencairns. Those are coming soon this season for sure. But Apollo, get some rest. I appreciate you, bro. And you have a great first day back at work tomorrow, bro.
Thank you, man. Matt, Dixon. You guys have a good one.
See you, my friend.
I'll see you later, man.
Pleasure meeting you.
Hope the recovery goes well.
Thank, man. Appreciate you, man. It's slow, but it's getting there.
All right.
All right. So before I bring up, the man that's going to take his place, because one thing I've always learned is never walk the streets of Chicago alone if you're a New Yorker. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the show and bring up my friend Nick's Beast to level out the playing field, because I don't have shoes. I don't have sneakers to back me up. So I at least need another Knick fan to back me up. Mr. Matt's got all that clout back there. And so one thing I will say is, Matt, for some reason, your Instagram did not start streaming it, just so you know. I know you thought it did, but it didn't. And I know you had some people that were asking what time you went live. So I just wanted to let you know it didn't hit the go live button, just so you know for the rest of the episode. But hey, now it sounds like you did.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Can I just join? Can I join you? Ask to join.
Is that on Instagram?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh, share video.
I've never done that. Because on StreamYard, it gives you the opportunity to stream it to your own platform.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a link to my page. I have a link to, let's see here.
So I'll let you figure that out. But I'm going to do what
Dixon
doesn't like and just give people the tasting notes on this, because I think it's mad unique. And people have watched the show and me talk about it before. But what's really dope about this is he talked about the spice, but I know that for some people that watch, they're not like huge whiskey fans. So they hear spice and they're like, oh, I don't want that in my chest. That's not spice. That's heat from you not drinking whiskey correctly. But this right here, this thing is awesome. Like, it starts off really sweet and then transitions into a little bit of like spice, which I absolutely love. And this is a double barrel finish, right? Like a high rye, moderate rye blend. All right, cool. So,
yeah, I mean, Phil, I do get tired of I always try to make a whiskey that's approachable, right? That's like easy. And I think I also want to talk about whiskey in an approachable way. It's kind of like talking about basketball or talking about sneakers or talking about whatever. Like, how do you, like, and to me, one of the things I've kind of done all this research into and looked into, but like, your ability to define specific tasting notes is different than Matt's. It's different than mine. It's different, and that's, which is fine. But your sweet is going to be different than my sweet. It's going to be different than Matt's sweet. It's going to, and the difference is our palates actually work the same way. So while my sweet may be different than your sweet, we're all going to recognize sweet on the front of our tongue, right? Yeah. Like the spice note, while my spice may be different than your spice, maybe different than Matt's spice, we're all going to recognize spice on the back of our tongue.
Yep.
We're all going to recognize acid and bitter and sour on the sides of our palate. We're going to recognize savory on the middle of our palate. It may be different notes. We may have a different association. It may be a memory thing. It may be a whatever, but the location, like the sensory location is the same. So, I started building whiskeys, and I'm trying to build whiskey where there's movement from the front of the palate to the middle of the palate to the back.
Yep.
I want to stay away from the sides of the palate. I don't want acid and bitter and sour in my whiskey, but I want that movement and transition of flavors from sweet, savory, spice. Sometimes it goes, backwards and forwards or whatever. But it's just like, keep it simple. Like, make it simple. How does it work? And things that we can all talk about. Like, when these people are like, oh, you can taste the dew from the on an eastern facing slope with the, what are we talking about here? But when I talk to people about, like, you can recognize this, like when you close your eyes after you taste it, you can feel it on the front of your tongue, and then it moves to the middle of your tongue, and then it moves to the back of your tongue. And people could say, oh yeah, like, I get that.
Yeah. And that's one thing we've tried to, like, make people understand here is that tasting notes are going to be completely different. Like we chopped it up with Zach from Silk Velvet, 2 weeks ago. And it was me and my guy, 2-ounce whiskey, and we were talking about the notes. He's like, Phil's better with notes than I am. I just can tell you what my favorites are and why. And what we were talking about, because like, Apollo's transition has been from only having like Captain and Coke before he started doing this show to me seeing his palate like grow and change through the years. And so what we were talking about is people need to like not think that their tasting notes are gospel, because they're not. Like if I say this reminds me of this creme brulee that I had at a restaurant that me and my wife went to on our honeymoon, that was actually a deconstructed version of it, that that person's not going to understand what I'm saying because they've never experienced that.
Right.
To them it could taste like the small butterscotch cookie that their grandma used to make. Well, I've never hung out with grandma, so I don't know, but we're both saying the same thing in the fact that there's a sweetness that our memory comes to before it gets hit with a spice, and so that's what's so great about this is like the whiskey scene can get so uppity with like, how did you taste that? I didn't taste that. It's like, well, because you haven't had the experiences that I've had and I haven't had the experiences you've had. Like I can't tell you it tastes like that because I've actually never eaten that thing in my life. So that's great that it tastes like, the char of a steak that costs $630 at this European restaurant that you went to. Guess what? I've never spent $630 on a steak. That's probably why I didn't taste that, So
100%. But I also think like there's something really cool when people can make those like personal associations.
Yeah.
I don't have it. Like I don't like I can't relate to the candy that your grandma had in her purse at church. Like I don't. But like, there's something really cool that you can, I don't know, that I've made a whiskey that somebody can say, hey, this takes me back to this like specific place in my youth, or this memory, or it like that for me, that is always one of the coolest things that ever happens. Somebody's like, hey, my aunt Greta used to make these cookies for Easter, and you know what I mean? And it's just like, and
I love that.
That's cool as hell. That's cool
for
as
me,
hell.
it's what makes whiskey what it is, like it wasn't what whiskey was to the people that I knew in high school. Whiskey was just like, I'm going to get trashed with this, but whiskey for me has been kind of like music has been for me, like certain things remind me of certain things, which is why that bottle might be a constant on my shelf, but not a constant on yours. That doesn't make it your shelf better than mine or my shelf better than yours. That just means that bottle reminded me of certain things that I actually found delight in. And that's why I like it. Like for me on this one, like I get hints of like maraschino cherries, and I love those. Like I absolutely love the sweetness of a maraschino cherry. Like a lot of times when I make my old fashions, I go in for a bigger spoonful than just grabbing the cherry because I want that juice in my drink. Some people are like, no, just dry off the cherry, scrape off the excess liquid before putting it in your old fashioned. I'm like, no, I want all of that excess maraschino cherry in my old fashioned. And so that was one of the tasting notes that I absolutely loved, and like the spice, like I love oak. Like I fell in love with whiskey through peated whiskey, like Scotch, something that some bourbon and rye lovers absolutely detest, but when I get something that's spicy, I love it. That's why some people are like, I'm a bourbon drinker. I don't like rye. I don't like spice. I'm like, I want all the spice. Like that doesn't have enough spice. Yeah. Bring that spice to me. So I absolutely love this bottle.
But like that's one of the things, what no one ever says about vodka? Like that reminds me of something. Like no one ever, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something about whiskey and there's something about, like no one ever says You know what, that vodka, that reminds me of this one moment in my childhood when I was, you know, like that. So
yeah, I agree. That's one thing you never hear about vodka, and you never hear that, oh, this vodka tastes better than the other, because they all taste exactly the same.
And nobody says, well, you know what, that gin reminds me of candy that my grandma had in her purse at church when I was a kid. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more ball. I'm going to bring up a guy that I met through Knicks Twitter, and I've always loved his takes. Solid dude, goes by the name of Knicks Beast. So I'm going to bring him up. We're going to chop up a little more with you guys about, this current, game coming up, Knicks versus Bulls tomorrow night. It's going to be a little crazy. So I'm going to bring up my guy, Mr. Knicks Beast. Where's he at? What up?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How we doing?
Good, bro. How are you?
Good. Shout out, Phil. I'm not going to leave you out here. Only Knicks fan representing. Come on, we got our Knicks gear. Big game coming up. Dixon, Matt, what's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
Howdy.
So, all right. So I do want to say, all right, even though I tell the story because I let my boys get away with it because they're young. When I was young, it was in the Chicago Bulls like heyday. It was Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. And when you're young, you have your team, but it's hard to like be a diehard anything. Like you just love the game before you fall in love with like a certain team. So I'm all decked out in all my photos. Knicks, da 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 da. But when the Bulls were playing anybody but the Knicks, I was rocking with the Bulls. Like, I wanted the Bulls to beat everybody but the Knicks. I was constantly watching Jordan, constantly watching Pippen, constantly watching Rodman, whether he was on the WWF or actually showing up to NBA games. Like Tony Kukoc was one of those guys that I was just like, man, that guy can shoot. Like I loved the 90s Bulls. I actually have a song because I used to do hip hop. And it's called 98. And it's all about like how my music career is like the 98 Bulls and I can't lose, so shout out to the old Bulls fans, but current Bulls fans, I can't, really rock with. But I will say this, you guys have a stud right now in the start of this season in Matas Buzelis, or however you say it, because that dude took a freaking leap, bro. Like, what I love is seeing the development of players. And for him to go last year, 8.6 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1 assist per game, to now starting in his first 4 games, averaging 21 points and 6 rebounds, that is a huge leap. And so you guys look like you have the foundation of something. I don't know if it's there yet, but you guys have the foundation. You guys are 4-0 right now. I will take a little bit away from you by saying you haven't really played anybody that matters except for the Pistons.
Very fair. Yeah.
Like your game against the Pistons was impressive because the Pistons do look like they're going to be the kind of team that fights for their position and their spot. But as a Bulls fan, I'll throw it to you first, Matt. What are your thoughts on the New York Knicks? Like, as someone who watches the NBA, that knows the game, played ball, what are your thoughts from somebody in enemy territory?
The hard thing is I'm a person who likes to see both sides of an argument, so I'm really hard to trash talk with. However, I feel for you guys because you guys feel like the Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon Bulls of old that are destined for a second round exit every single year. So,
Wow.
And we would beg for the days of the lottery, which then Josh Giddey hits a 3 against the Lakers and we don't get Cooper Flag, and then Jason Kidd plays him at point guard and makes him look awful. So I don't know if we've lucked out. 4 games into the season, who knows? Maybe Cat figures it out. I'm a big Cat fan. I think with you guys, the good thing about New York, it's always a destination. You guys are always in trade talks. You're always in the mix. Do you guys need a catalyst, right? I think I agree with one of your folks in the comments. I forgot who it was that said you don't trade the core. Who's the core? You to Dixon's point, you need 2 or 3 people. So you cannot trade Cat or Jalen. You bring Giannis in. I don't think Jalen works with Giannis. I'm sorry. And I think if you bring in Giannis, you have to win in a year or 2. The guy's 30 years old. He's only going to slow down as a 7-footer. Feet get bad. Stuff gets bad. You guys, he's Mega Pippen. As my guy Jason Goff said, back in the Combine days, he called him Mega Pippen back in the day. So it reminds me of like that. if you guys got him, it would remind me of like that 95-96 when Hugh Hollins bailed you out and Scottie Pippen took him to the conference finals and should have gotten him to the finals against the Knicks. But OJ would have spoiled that anyways. Either way, as you can tell, I got lots of stories, 4 days. The way I feel about you guys, I always got love for New York. I always want New York to succeed because when Chicago and New York get together, it's an event. Like, I remember I was doing a video with Frank one time, and it was like, bro, both teams are gonna be like barely 7-8 seeds, but you know what? It's just fun to talk stuff. So you guys need a third option. You got a great team. I think you should have kept Tibbs. Mike Brown's not a bad coach. Your defensive rotations will fall apart in the 26th game. Go ahead. What you got?
Tibbs is trash. I'm gonna just throw that out there. Anyone can crucify me on that. Like seriously, I had a party. Like, if I had a bottle of, like, let's say, I don't know, like, think of Weller 18. Let's say I had a Weller 18 in my closet. That would have been opened the day that we fired Tibbs. Like, it does not matter how much that bottle is. As soon as I got the news that Tibbs was fired, I would have opened it. I'm pretty sure I popped a George T. Stagg that night because I was that excited that Tibbs was finally out. I've been saying,
can I just say on record how New York Knicks that is of you, that you would pop a very overpriced bottle to celebrate something. But
whoa. I got it. First of all, I got it for MSRP. Second of all,
all right.
It's one of the only.
Wait, is it William LaRue Weller or Millennium? Like, what are you talking about?
No, George T. Stagg.
Oh, GTS. Okay, yeah.
All right.
For retail,
The only two in that collection that I really care for are the George T. Stagg and the William LaRue Weller. Me personally, I think Eagle Rare 17 is overrated. Don't really enjoy it. All right, and Saz 18, I've never tasted a Saz 18 that I've liked. And Thomas Handy is so hit or miss that I'm just like, I am not wasting my time and money because one could be delicious and the next could taste like gasoline. So the only two I care about are those. But anyway, without further ado.
17 at 100 proof is a lot better than Eagle Rare 17 at
when they brought it back to one. Yeah, when they brought it back over 100. I will say this, and this is not a comment on the Buffalo Trace Antique collection, but this is a comment on the entire allocation season stuff. I would NDPs are killing it right now. So for those of you Knicks fans that don't know, NDPs are people who don't produce their own stuff. I would rather pay more for an NDP than chase an allocated bottle this fall.
Facts.
That's my story of the year. That's what I'm gonna post. I've knocked out my predictions the last 2 years. Bourbon Pursuit has called it out. The last 2 years my predictions have been right. NDPs are killing allocation season. Like, I don't care to chase a raffle anymore. I can get sneaker. I can get Sneakerhead on the shelves today. 104 proof, delicious, rides like an Air Max. And then you got the vinyl, the Cool Rush here. Come on, man. Like, what am I chasing a $300 bottle for?
No, I agree. I'm not huge on that. But without further ado.
Well, wait, but before we get to this, because Mr. Nick's Beast, I think you're going to like this. But this is one of the things that that I find very. When did programs? When did teams? When did I think the Knicks? When you're saying you are opening these bottles, like you are celebrating a coach leaving.
Oh yeah.
And it reminds me so much of what happened here in Kentucky a couple years ago. Like, everybody was so ready for Calipari to go that we didn't celebrate bringing in a new coach. People in Kentucky, they were like, "Oh, we're popping bottles because Calipari
is gone,
went to Arkansas." It was like, what does that say about programs or whatever? Like, when you celebrate people leaving, like, we're not celebrating championships anymore. We're celebrating getting people out.
All right. So I'll explain it this way.
Fair? Maybe that's the.
I'll explain it this way. Okay. Hopefully this will give you an understanding. And Mr. Matt that's celebrating down there goofily, it might help him as well. All right. So I'm a cancer survivor. Okay. What does a cancer survivor do when they're in remission and they're able to start a new life? They ring the freak out of that bell, right? firing Tibbs was getting rid of a cancer for the Knicks. All right. For years.
I don't know.
You're gonna make me the bad guy. You're gonna make me argue with a cancer survivor.
All right, so I am not mourning the loss of Tibbs at this point because we have moved on, but I am also not quite in Phil's corner about popping bottles after the firing of the first coach that brought the Knicks to the ECF for the first time in 25 years, 26 years.
Please, how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, so we're not too far off.
Yo, honest question.
Yeah.
Because I'm a podcast host, so I gotta come back with a question. And I think this will. Who was the bigger problem, Dolan or Tibbs?
Oh, I have an easy answer to this. Always, it's Dolan. Dolan is.
No, I thought it was Dolan because he was so hands-on.
He was and over aggressive. But there are valid
our problem
reasons.
Is the owner. Yes.
Yeah.
But
there are valid reasons for it.
Actually let go of Tibbs to chase the championship changed that narrative to me. Because Tibbs was, if you look at past seasons, I've given Tibbs praise more times than I like to admit for the things that he did for us. But I've said it nonstop. I even said it last season while we were on our way to the ECF. People were like, what are your thoughts still on Tibbs? I said, even if we win a championship, I want Tibbs out the door. I believe he was the Mark Jackson, and until we get our Steve Kerr, we will never see a chip. Like, I'm thankful for what he did, but I don't think he will ever take us to the glory spot. And it didn't matter if we won the championship last year or not. I felt that way. So for me, I was very thankful when we fired Tibbs because it showed that our actual franchise is more concerned with winning a chip than it is being buddy-buddy with people that are in the organization. So that made me happy.
Yeah, I would say on the Tibbs note, like, there are a lot of things that I appreciated about the Tom Thibodeau era, and let's not get stuck on it. Mike Brown's the coach of the Knicks, and we're talking about the Knicks. We're locked in on Mike Brown. But as far as things that I'm not popping bottles for, Thibodeau did bring things to New York that the franchise had been missing for a long time. Whether you believe he's the B to C or the B to A coach, New York was missing an identity for a long time. It was missing a true culture. With Tibbs there, you didn't have the same measure of success, but the locker room felt a lot like prime Patriots, like locked in, nobody's saying a word, dudes are going to work, they're showing up to play ball, and they're showing to win. That's not something the Knicks can take for granted because for a long time, you didn't have leadership that established something within the team and the fans that said, wow, we got something cooking here. So there was a lot of success that came from him being in New York, and we got to experience basketball at levels I haven't seen in a long time. I would sacrifice my least liked dick brother. I've got so many brothers. I'd get rid of one of them for a championship. I definitely would have kept Tibbs for a championship. I would have, my brother's out the door. He's already burned, that bridge. Sorry, man. I'll do whatever for a Knicks chip. So go ahead.
Tibbs did do a lot, which I give him his flowers for. But he also got in his way a lot and got in our way a lot.
Yes.
You look at a lot of our young players. Our young players never got opportunities. The way that they're getting opportunities right now, you would have never seen, in a Tibbs regime. And the thing about a Tibbs regime is that if your vets can get you a championship, you got the championship, but you have nothing to grow into because none of your guys have ever seen minutes, so none of your young guys are ever going to be the future of your franchise ever,
I always wondered about that because Tibbs does that first year. He sits the rookies. I agree. He sits the rookies. It wasn't until Jimmy Butler.
First years, he sat him second years with the Knicks. It didn't really matter. And if you look, it all started to fall apart. And if you look at why they let him go, they said they had interviews with the players and some of the star players. And it was those interviews with those players that gave Dolan the, yes, we need to fire Tibbs. So, yes, our players were being coached by him. We were doing things that we hadn't done before, but there was an unhappiness with enough of our actual star players that they thought they needed to move on from. And if you look, there were players that started to come out with frustrations with how Tibbs was. From the Obi Toppins to the Grimes to the Quickleys, all of them had issues. They all got shipped. None of them got opportunities. Now they're getting opportunities at other teams, and they're doing really, really well. And all of us are going, dang, we need a backup point guard. Guess what we had? The guy that's doing great numbers that we don't have on our roster anymore because Tibbs never let him play. So yes, Tibbs did something which I'm thankful for, and that's why he was my Mark Jackson. He got us to where we were. I'm thankful for him. Here's your flowers. Here's your, trophy of participation, and here's your bus ticket to get the hell out of our city.
Do you guys want a fun trivia question? I've never been more confident about any take ever. There is one player on the New York Knicks who got Tom Thibodeau fired. He wasn't fired because of one player, but there is one player on the Knicks who got Tibbs fired. Who is it?
Was he on the roster last year?
He was on the roster last year and is on the roster this year.
Anobi.
Nope. It's either McHale or McBride.
It's McHale.
Yeah,
McBride doesn't have the leverage. The Knicks leveraged a lot in that McHale Bridges trade. They leveraged a lot. You put your chips on the table. It's easier to fire a coach than it is to fire a player. McHale is either going to walk with your 5 first-round picks for nothing, or you're going to trade him at a loss, or you're going to make him a priority and you're going to develop around him and try to bring in somebody that you think might be able to maximize him, which is what you paid a high cost for to begin with. You don't fire the player, you fire the coach. McHale was done with Tibbs, and he was one of the players who publicly voiced frustrations. He's also the only player with enough leverage who wasn't signed and was due for an extension who said, it's me or it's him, because he felt like Phil felt, we're not going to get there. That was McHale.
And that's why I love McHale Bridges. Thank you, McHale. Appreciate you. I will get a jersey now that the new ones came out.
Let me ask you a quick question. If he was part of a package to trade for Giannis, would you let him go?
McHale?
In a second.
So what does he matter?
No,
Giannis is top 3 in the NBA. I mean, that's not fair. That's not fair for anybody.
Yeah, that's a crazy question.
Well, my question is, those guys that complained about Tibbs, if you're willing to trade most of them in a package to go get Giannis and Tibbs is an elite combo.
Oh yeah.
And this is what I think. Like, here, you got to understand something. Basketball coaches are my favorite creatures in the world, and I know Dixon's like itching to say something here, but I think basketball coaches get scapegoated way too much. And we get it with Billy Donovan down here, and it's like, did you know this guy with like garbage pieces has had a top 10 defense every year that he's been a coach? He always pieces it together, right? And and then meanwhile you got guys like Doc Rivers, who had every single star under the sun that Danny Ainge got for him, and eked out one championship and keeps getting opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. I think there's a trail of Doc Rivers naysayers. Yet you're going to naysay a guy like Tom Thibodeau. I'm just like, ooh. I mean, do some guys deserve extra chances? Because you never gave him an actual third opportunity. The fact that you guys overpaid for McHale, shame on you. Shame on Dolan. Shame on the front office. That's not Thibodeau's fault.
Here's
right?
the thing.
And Thibodeau gets this guy, and you guys think, oh, because we paid so much, he's so good. Let's talk in 2 years. Let's see what this guy's doing in 2 years. Great. This is the guy challenging AC Green's record. See where that gets you. AC Green played for the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years, didn't win shit.
Look at our playoff run, okay? Like, there were games that Tom Thibodeau cost us, okay? That his lack of adjustments, that his lack of, like, being willing to adjust and not be stubborn cost us. You look at Mikal Bridges in the playoffs. Mikal Bridges actually won us a multitude of our playoff games. You have to put the value on what's actually happening with the team. At the end of the day, Tom Thibodeau has had more than enough time to win a championship in his NBA career. How many seasons has this guy coached? How many championships has he gone to? How many championships has he actually got? Not even Easter conferences. How many actual championship teams has he brought to at least compete for a championship? it's non-existent.
How many players have you given him? He had D Rose with broken ACLs. He had Joakim Noah as the second best player who couldn't hit a jumper. You go over there. You haven't given him any players. You haven't given him any players.
We gave him the same player he had in Minnesota.
And let's be honest, this is where you guys were better off. This is the truth. You guys were better off burning that roster to the ground, starting off going for the lottery, and let him be the coach.
No.
That is exactly because you guys are stuck with Jalen Brunson, Derrick Rose, bootleg Derrick Rose 2.0. He got minutes.
Did you say stuck with Jalen Brunson?
You are stuck with Jalen Brunson. That is bad money. Because let me tell you something. You're going to run into the same problem.
That might be the worst take I've ever heard.
Mike Brown's going to take you to the finals. You guys beating OKC? Not a chance. You're getting swept by OKC. Y'all got to make a move.
In Matt's defense, like I will say, like it's kind of funny to hear, like, we've paid these guys, we've got these core guys, and they don't get it done. And then in the same conversation, it's like, well, they don't play the backups, so we don't get the backups enough minutes. We're not developing the guys behind them. It's like, well, what do you want? Like, these guys, they either are the dogs and they go and they get it and they do it, or.
But that's the thing. It's not an either or. It's a both and. Like, you have a great player that has to play 40 minutes. You think that they're going to be at their like top all 40 minutes? Like, that's crazy talk. Like, no one's doing that. Like, they are elite on the time that they're on the court because they have a few minutes to like rest and actually perform. Tibbs didn't allow that to happen. And that's the problem. Like, at the end of the day, the proof was in the pudding for me. You know, like, if you had been like, yeah, but he was able to do this, you know, you talk about they should have burnt it to the ground and went into the draft. To what? Draft a player that Thibodeau won't play until he's in his fourth year? Like, it's been his career notion that he does not play the rookies. So why would I ever want to get into the draft? That's a complete waste of time.
Why would you want to go into the finals with Jalen Brunson?
Because Jalen Brunson is one of the best players in the NBA right now.
Literally top 10 clutch player of the year.
He will disappear against OKC.
No, he won't.
That's
not
crazy.
At all. Not at all. Jalen Brunson has not disappeared.
I got nothing but love for Illinois' own Jalen Brunson, by the way.
He has
but
not
you cannot win a championship with Jalen Brunson being your best player.
That's crazy.
You absolutely
talk.
Can.
That's crazy talk.
And that's why y'all need Giannis.
I'm gonna bring up some of my fire. All right, because I don't walk around these streets, you know, without my fire, you know, without the guys that can come and talk their talk. So I'm going to bring up my brother from this network, from the KOT show himself, Mr. Lee Escobedo. And he's going to come in and he's going to gently but sweetly let you know, Mr. Chicago Bull fan, why Jalen Brunson is the truth. You know who you sound like right now? You sound like that announcer chick that said that Jalen Brunson was not an all-star. And then all of a sudden...
No, he's an all-star.
No, yeah.
Well, 1,000%. All respect. Great player.
She said this before he was an all-star. She said he can't be a number one. And then she ate her words and had to apologize because it was a total joke. So I'm going to bring up my guy, Mr. Lee Escobedo. What up, Lee?
Yo, what's going on, man? Good to be here. I heard some unbelievable takes, so I had to hop into the show, and I wanted to try to
vinyl got me.
I want to try to present a rational in between. Phil, I actually take umbrage with you being so harsh on Tom Thibodeau. I didn't think Tom Thibodeau was an awful coach. I actually agree with my buddy Matt here. I think Tom Thibodeau has never had the opportunity to have a championship, like a top 3 roster in the NBA. And he did suffer some pretty devastating injuries, not just with Derrick Rose, but also Joakim Noah during that run, and Luol Deng, that really hurt their chances to win it all. Tom Thibodeau is the best table setter coach in the NBA. I mean,
shout out to the Bulls medical staff, by the way. They've done a bang-up job.
Come into a bad franchise, probably 3 of the worst in the last 20 years in Chicago, New York, and Minnesota, and turning them at some point into a playoff team, in 2 cases, not Minnesota, a championship contender at the very base level. So Tom Thibodeau, I think, is a very smart strategist on both sides of the ball. And I think you don't give him enough credit on the adjustments he made in last year's playoff series and pulling some things out that we hadn't seen the Red Doors season, not just in rotations, but also starting Mitch, running some horn sets, getting Brunson off ball a little bit in that series against Boston. All those things won a set series. So I do want to give some balance to that. But this, Matt, I don't know you, brother. You seem like a good dude. But the talking greasy on Jalen Brunson, my guy, that is crazy. Not a top 10 player, can't be a championship first option. Is things.
Oh, I didn't say not a top 10 player. Not a championship one. I would say he's not a championship one.
Can't win a championship with him as your best player and claiming he would disappear against OKC when he hit the shot in Game 6 to eliminate the Detroit Pistons against a player I actually have above him. And the KOT show kills me for this. I think Cade Cunningham is a better all-around player than Brunson, and Brunson sent him home packing with that game winner on maybe the top 3 best perimeter defender in the NBA in Sir Thompson. Crossed him up, created space, pulled up from 3, won the series. Like Brunson does a lot of things mediocre on a defensive end, but one of the things he does great is close games, which is why he won the Clutch Player of the Year last season. So, yes, he's only 6'1", maybe 6'2" when he has his afro out. But I think that you can win an NBA championship if the rest of the team around you, the depth, the coaching staff, the second and third options are also championship caliber. And I look at this Knicks roster, and I say yes to all of those, even though Josh Hart's finger's injured, even though Karl-Anthony Towns is still a liability on defense, even though OG Anunoby isn't aggressive enough on offense, even though the bench has been very up and down in Yabusele and Clarkson. Man, we only played 4 games. Let's really take stock of the rest of the East and see how bro, no offense to the Chicago Bulls. They're the best team in the East right now. Like that's not going to last, and that's not like an indicator of who's going to the championship. The Knicks are a top 3 team in the East, and they absolutely have a shot at the chip. And if we're in the finals and against SGA and OKC, Jalen Brunson will do a lot of things, but disappearing is not one of them.
All right,
I'm going to be fair. I do like your roster. Your roster, top to bottom, is a very nice roster.
Hold on. Before you continue, I know Dixon's got to head out. So Dixon, I want your final takes. I just posted in the chat where you guys can follow Dixon, where you can follow 2XO and enjoy some of their sneaker blend. I also put the link for Preets where you can pick one up. But what are your final closing thoughts before I let you go?
My closing thoughts are how honored I am, and I just think it's cool. This is fun, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm not plugging anything. This is just Phil. You're the man. You're the guy. And Matt, we're gonna connect soon. We're gonna have some Chicago drinks and tell some lies, and it's just fun. I appreciate
for your listeners. This guy's too humble. Can I tell you something? One of my top 3 whiskeys of all time is the Kentucky Owl Batch 1 Rye that came out 2017.
Yep.
You guys got to check out 2XO. This guy's one of the most talented blenders, even if he can't call on notes. One of the goats of all time. One of my top 3 whiskeys of all time. Al Young, 4 Roses, Antique, any Antique, and Dixon Dedman's Kentucky Owl #1, Batch 1. This guy's talented. Sorry, if you're gonna be humble, I'm gonna be your hype man. Sorry.
All right, Dixon. So while we're here, I'm gonna put this out there. When the Knicks prove Matt wrong and Jalen Brunson takes us to the finals, we need to figure out a 2XO Knicks Nightcap KOT watch party in New York City. Have you come hang out, and it's going to be only 2XO whiskey and 2XO whiskey cocktails for the whole watch party. We got to make it happen.
Okay, I guarantee you that we can. I know the spots that we can do it. We can make this happen. This is easy. We may even need to talk to. We may just need to go ahead and get like a box at Madison Square Garden and do this thing live. We may need to do something along those lines. But
if you and I are going to talk, I'm going to text you this week. We're going to freaking plan it. We're going to make it happen. And if it happens, and I know that the Bulls won't be there, we will make sure that Matt comes and wears a Jalen Brunson jersey, and we broadcast it live on the.
No, I think that's the
if
fun.
The Knicks make it, I will gladly wear a Brunson jersey, and if they win the chip, I will give away this section of my collection.
All right. Bet.
I think we all go, we roll. It's a good time. Doesn't matter who's doing what. But hey, Lee, we didn't get to hang, but we will soon, man. Cheers. So again,
Appreciate
Phil,
you, Matt.
thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'll talk to you soon, bro.
All right. See you guys.
All right.
See you next
All right. Before I throw it back in the conversation, we are blessed to have one of our other brothers, Mr. Jay Ellis, who started the Nick of Time channel. And he is a brother, and he's going to come up and also tell Matt how he is delusional for thinking that Jalen Brunson is not somebody that can take us to the promised land.
Are you crazy right now? Did you really come on the KOT show and say something so blasphemous? I can't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. What is happening? You listened to Becky Hammond right before you came on the show?
Listen, man, I channeled my inner Skip Bayless. I was like, yo, I got to say something nonsensical. I got to say something crazy, but that I kind of believe, like you can kind of believe it. Look, all I'm saying is Jalen. Okay, here's my question, right? Y'all talking about Giannis. Y'all want Giannis. Don't play like you don't want him. If you got Giannis and you kept Cat, and I agree in the comments, you got to keep the course somehow, but you got no draft capital, so you're screwed. But anyways, if you get him, Giannis won a chip as the primary ball handler. I will give Brunson credit. These first 4 games of the season, he's playing off the ball, like you said. Do you think as not the primary ball handler, is he your number 2 or your number 3?
Wait, hold on a second. Wait, first and foremost, I remember Becky Hammond saying that there was an anomaly of a short guard who won a championship, and his name was Steph Curry. Now, what did Steph Curry do to win that championship? Steph Curry played off the ball, and they had other playmakers. They had Draymond Green pretty much playing point forward. So damn, Jay Ellis, think about this. Do we have anybody else on this team
Hey, Jay.
at the center forward position who can pass the ball? Oh, Karl Anthony Towns. Look, we have something like that. Oh, wow. And I think that's the thing that you're missing. And this is the thing that you're also missing with the Bulls. The Bulls, they didn't win the chip because Derrick Rose was the center of the offense. He had no opportunity to go off ball. There were no other ball handlers on the Bulls during his prime. Yes, they had Joakim Noah a little bit flashing, but they had nobody else.
That's when D-Rose was hurt. Yeah, that's when D-Rose was hurt. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah. Well, they did because D-Rose was hurt. He was able to do that. But for the Knicks, we have options now. The biggest reasons why we lost versus the Indiana Pacers was because Jalen Brunson. They could load up on Jalen Brunson, and the reason why Mike Brown is here and we want Mike Brown is it'll make it harder for teams to load up on Jalen Brunson. Now he'll be off ball. Now we'll be closer to that Golden State-esque type of offense. And that's what I'm saying is like we do have a shot with Jalen Brunson being the guy as long as we have other people who can handle some of the responsibility throughout the game and toss it back to him as a closer where he still has his energy now because he's not pounding the rock for the entire 24 seconds of the shot clock.
You know what's crazy, Jay? I knew you were a talented guy, but I've never seen someone hop on my podcast and give a Knicks take from a kitchen while they're cooking, because that's super impressive to hear that take, because you know that whole Steph Curry thing was a perfect thing. And to be honest, like even if we had Giannis, we are seeing, and Matt, you missed the early part of my show. You have missed me giving Jalen Brunson praise for his adaptability under this new Mike Brown system, because he has allowed himself to not dribble the ball to the point that there's no air in it, which is what a lot of us Knicks fans were frustrated with last year.
Which that's a tips thing. I agree. That's a tips thing.
What was 18 minutes of the 24, it was in his hands. But you look, his numbers now are similar to what they were last season, and yet the amount of time he has the ball is drastically cut because he's moving. His threes look so much better because they're uncontested and they're not forced. His ISO plays are not forcing him to get beat up the way that it was last year, because his ISO plays aren't being forced either. They're more natural because people know that he's willing to spray it out to his team. They know that he's willing to actually pass now. That makes his ISO game that much more impressive. So yes, if Giannis was here and had the ball in his hands most of the time, I think that would make Jalen Brunson thrive even more, because right now, who are you going to double team? Well, no one right now except for Brunson, because Cat is struggling, and OG, as good as he can be, there's nights where he doesn't have any offensive confidence. And Mikal Bridges, that his midi's going to go, be what he's going to do. So you'll test that one-on-one. So no one's drawing a double team except for Jalen Brunson. You bring Giannis into the picture, and of course you're going to double team. You look at us, we're 4th rated right now in the NBA for our defense and the amount of points we're letting teams score. Yet if you look at the replays from our game with Giannis, there was not a single time that all 5 defenders were not angled towards Giannis, because it takes that much from a defense to slow Giannis down. So you do that to any other team, and then you throw Jalen Brunson in the mix as well, and you have an absolute nightmare offensively for any defense, because all 5 of your guys have to be attentive to Giannis, and now you have Jalen Brunson able to not have 3 or 4 guys paying attention to him, and that makes him become unstoppable. So
yeah, I think the hardest thing for you guys, and I agree. I'm not saying it's impossible for them to play together. I think the hardest thing for you guys is, how do you make that trade happen?
I don't think
keep Cat. Keep Cat and keep Jalen Brunson, because the only way you guys win the championship, and you have to win it because he's 30 years old. If you're acquiring Giannis Antetokounmpo at 30 years old, you have to win this championship in the next 2 or 3 years. I'm telling you, his game is not going to age well.
I think that's our timeline anyway with Brunson.
That's the window.
I think that's our timeline anyway with Brunson. And I'm not saying Cat and Giannis. I'm saying Cat would obviously have to go, in order to attain Giannis.
But then you're spinning your wheels. You got to have Cat. Cat as that 3-point option on the kick out with Giannis on the floor is dangerous. If anybody's got to go, stick with me here, it's Jalen.
You're bugging.
You put Giannis with Cat, it's way more dangerous than Jalen.
No, not at all.
Have you seen Cat in closing moments in his entire career?
Doesn't matter, because you have Giannis.
I think I understand what Matt is saying, because you're referencing the Brook Lopez role with Giannis, or Bobby Portis, where Milwaukee, when they won a championship, they didn't just have spacing 1 through 3. They also had it constantly at the 5 between Lopez and Bobby Portis playing small ball. But it's way easier to find a center who can shoot than a Jalen Brunson player profile. There's only 4 or 5 Jalen Brunsons in the NBA, and there's only one of them that is Brunson, who's won Clutch Player of the Year last year. It might be the best closer after SGA. We're talking about an absolute dog in the 4th quarter. There's very few guys you can really depend on when they shoot that your gut instinct tells you it's going to go in. And for the first time in I don't know how long, because I wouldn't even count Patrick Ewing. Maybe since Bernard King, we had that guy that when he shoots, you feel more often than not that shot's going in for a game winner. I would want to pair that with Jalen Brunson, because you can go out in the marketplace. It might take picks. It might take players that you like a whole lot, but you can go find you a Miles Turner or even a lesser version of that, a Luke Cornett who can hit some threes at a good clip.
Well, yeah. I think what Lee is saying is what have you seen with the Bucks not being able to win the championship? It's that they throw everything at Giannis, and there's not another deadly closer besides Giannis. So he wears that whole offensive burden on his shoulders. If you add a Jalen Brunson to the offensive game of Giannis Antetokounmpo, now you have somebody that can close any single game, put the game on his shoulders so that Giannis doesn't always have to. And now you have 2 guys that can absolutely obliterate your whole team.
Can I say something real quick, too? Real quick. The time that Giannis did win his championship, didn't he have Chris Middleton with him?
Yes.
Yep.
Middleton was hot. Middleton was hot, but he was not
I feel like as good as Giannis is, he's still not that guy who's gonna be a threat from the perimeter. Who's gonna be give me the ball. Let me take this jump shot. People clog the paint. He's gonna have to kick it out. You need another perimeter guy to close out games with Giannis. And I feel like it's not stated enough, but I feel like a big reason why the Bucks haven't got back to the promised land because Chris Middleton has been hurt and he hasn't had that Robin wing. So now you're telling you're getting rid of the guy you know is going to give you the big shot for Cat, who is really he's up and down. I'm not going to he's up.
But I'll give you two faults. I'll give you two ways of I'm thinking about this, right? Like one is you guys don't have a lot of capital. So if you trade a Jalen Brunson and you're Milwaukee, you say, hey, at least we got a Jalen Brunson back. But two is that he's been able to make guys like Clinton Portis, who was in Chicago. Clinton Portis looks like a great player, right, in Milwaukee. Next to, could you imagine with a Cat? How much better is Cat than Clinton Portis?
You talking about Bobby Portis?
Bobby Portis. Sorry. Bobby Portis. I'm talking about Clinton Portis, Washington Redskins fantasy football running back.
I thought you meant Bobby.
You're right, Bobby Portis. Right. Bobby Portis was here in Chicago, punched Nikola Mirotic back to the Euro.
That.
Right? And he's a champion with Milwaukee. That's why I'm just interested in pairing Giannis with another big. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I hate to say it, and this is from my Derrick Rose days. Nothing but love for Derrick Rose. But this is what my guy Jason Goff said. He's like, yo, the problem is when the Bulls faced the Heat in 2010, their Derrick Rose is 6'8", and his name was LeBron James. So you cannot replace height.
You're talking about the best player of all time, though. I will say.
I just said Golden State did, so I'm just saying.
Third best of all time.
Here's the thing about
I'm ready to talk about that one, but third
okay,
best.
you're right. I actually put Jordan above LeBron James, but Brook Lopez played defense. Cat does not. If you pair an older Giannis with Karl-Anthony Towns, that's so much pressure on Giannis to do so much on the back line, to guard two on a string, that I think at age 31 that he turns in December, that's not the place he wants to be in his career. Because right now he has a pretty solid amount of defenders around him. They're mostly undersized, and Bobby Portis is playing a lot of five. But with Miles Turner, he's not necessarily a one-on-one guy, but he can defend the rim. He's a great shot blocker, great weak side defender. He defends the pick and roll well. You replace that with Cat, all of a sudden Giannis is playing with a very soft player up front, and he's having to do more work than even OG Anunoby is doing now. You don't want to have that type of staggering defensively. You don't want to keep the compromised center next to Giannis and not fix that pick and roll defense. You have to fix the pick and roll defense by pairing Giannis with Jalen Brunson and then bring Mitchell Robinson into the front court.
So I'll say this before I bring up my guy Fritz. Okay, I understand the Bobby Portis thing. Okay. But what you need to realize is Bobby Portis is also a defender. You know, Bobby Portis plays defense. You know, Cat doesn't. We already have that big that would be elite next to Giannis, and that's Mitchell Robinson. Like, if he didn't have to go in that trade, you put Mitchell Robinson with Giannis, not only do you have the strength of Giannis, but you have the rim blocking capabilities of Mitchell Robinson right next to him. That makes things hard. That's going to make it hard for guys like Wemby to be able to like bully both of them at the same time. Because you look at the league right now, Wemby's making big guys look like Matt McClung. Like, he's just doing that, you know? And so if you get Giannis paired with Mitchell Robinson, and let's say we have to get rid of either Mikal or OG, you know, in that trade, you still have one of those guys defensively. You know, so we still have the capabilities of having the right shooters around him, the right defenders around him, the right length around him to still be successful. I don't think you really have that if you keep Cat. You sacrifice something. Yes, you get 3-point shooting from the ends, but you can also still get that from Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, or OG Anunoby, because there's not going to be people running out to OG, you know, and guarding him or Mikal, whichever one we got to keep, super tight when you know that they can give it right back to Giannis to bully in the paint. Like, it makes it kind of impossible. And if Mitchell Robinson is healthy alongside of him, that is a scary thing to try to drive the ball to, or pick somebody that you want to like leave open. So I don't think Cat would be the right move. But without further ado, I'm gonna bring up another KOT member to tell Mr. Matt Cusick why he's wrong. And then we'll talk
Rumble. This is Royal Rumble. Matters crazy.
This is like
Yo, I honestly feel like just throwing it out there. I don't think if anybody picks up the phone and calls the Knicks today and says, hey, I'll give you any player in the NBA for Jalen Brunson, call this a hot take. Team fits, culture fits, and fans have adopted Jalen Brunson. He very much is New York. I don't think there's any player in the league that you could call up the front office of the Knicks and say, hey, we want to start a trade, and the person we want is Jalen Brunson. The trade ends there. It doesn't matter who you're offering. He is that elite that whoever you bring to the table is a non-starter. He means too much to the organization, too much to the city, and he is that talented. You cannot trade him. I think
there's a few players. I think there's a few players that might not be true for sure. But I don't think a 30-year-old Giannis is as great as he is because of his age. You know, if this was Giannis 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Jalen would be packing. You know, but I don't believe that in this state of where he's at. But I think if we got a call for an SGA, it would be a little bit foolish for Knicks not to consider it, you know, or a bundle of an Anthony Edwards. You know, they'd at least consider what that trade is. I still don't think that they instantly just pull the trigger, but I do believe that there's some trades they would entertain because of who the player is. And SGA is the first one that comes to mind.
Joker, Wemby.
So, yeah, and Joker as well. All right.
Probably fair.
Mr. Fritz, talk your talk, Mr.
Oh, the mod god in the house.
Oh, here we go. Calculators out.
Yeah, calculators is definitely out. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Much love.
Hey, what's up, Phil? What's up, Lee?
What up?
What's up, Jalis? Hey, great to have some guests on. Yeah, I definitely think the Knicks. I think there's definitely guys the Knicks would consider trading Jalen Brunson for. Just a history with shorter players and how they age. Once an injury happens, you know, once you lose a step, it just becomes difficult. So if they were able to reset with someone who's close to Jalen's level, I think they would.
Yeah,
it feels like it would have to be a dramatic upgrade
for sure
from Jalen Brunson. It couldn't be Jalen Brunson's level, and there's not many people.
Cunningham, I think they would listen.
I don't think
it was
so.
Cade Cunningham. I think they would listen.
Mr. Fritz, can you tell everybody how old Jalen Brunson is?
I think he's 30 years old. I
he's
think
29 years old. He is 1 year younger than Giannis.
Yeah. But short point guards, once they lose a step, it's game over.
I agree with. No, it's beast real quick. I wouldn't trade him for Tate either, because to me that's a lateral move. You make the trade if you're getting someone who's generational, which to me is Wemby, Joker, and SGA. Those are really the only three I would probably even be like, absolutely, let's make that trade. Everyone else, there's a great conversation to be had about it.
For sure.
Honestly, to Lee's point, I love Jalen Brunson. Like straight up. Like I would get this tattooed on me somewhere. Like if I still had space. Like I love Jalen Brunson, but I'm not getting my butt cheeks tattooed, and that's all I got left.
Hey, yo.
If I had anywhere else, this would be tattooed on me. But regardless of how much I love Jalen Brunson and his game, if anyone knocks on my door to talk about having Wemby as a Knick, like, you let me know where Jalen Brunson currently lives, and I will show up and start packing the bag for him. Because after I saw Wemby play against Anthony Davis and make Anthony Davis look like he was Peyton Pritchard, you know, or any other, like seriously, he looked like TJ McCollum, you know, against Wemby. And that's what he did to Anthony Davis, you know, like that kid is scary. Like I'm scared to play him. Like I really am, because as much as I love Mitchell Robinson, and I think he's like the best, one of the best centers in the league, Wemby makes everybody look like a child. And that's the kind of player that you sign no matter what, because he's going to be the face of the NBA for years and years to come. And he's young, you know, so for me, Wemby's one of those guys. But like Lee said, there's maybe 2 or 3 that are worth it, you know, and that's it. But Wemby's.
I'm willing to admit that I might have had some overzealous fandom, but I'm a diehard Knicks fan, so I got some attachment here. I'm not even going to deny it.
I'm not even thinking about This whole conversation is blasphemous.
He's not going
for
anywhere.
sure.
So let's roundtable it real quick and talk about tomorrow's game. All right. And then I'm going to end with one question for each of you, including Matt and his Chicago Bulls. And so shout out to Matt because, he's been straight up like, in the thick of Knicks mania. And still, like sharing his vibes, his thoughts and everything like that. And so I got nothing but respect for Matt staying true. This is a little logo I made for him. That's Mr. Mac Cusick representing. So follow him. I posted his link as well as Dixon Dedman's link and everything like that on the side, and I'm going to post it again. But what are your guys' thoughts on tomorrow's game against the Bulls that are 4-0? Do you think we walk away with the victory? We bounce back after, going down 0-2 on that road trip? Or do you think that we deal with some frustrations again tomorrow? I'll throw it to you first, Jay Ellis.
Listen, I heard Mitchell Robinson is coming back. Our defensive anchor, we've missed him. He's been a beast in preseason. He hasn't been played in a while. I don't expect him to play a bunch of minutes, but I do expect his minutes to be impactful. So I'm gonna just go on a limb and say we don't lose 3 in a row against the Bulls, and we come out win this game. We got Deuce McBride back as well. I think we're going to be a lot more disciplined than we were last game. I think discipline was the problem. We ran our system pretty well, especially in that second quarter. We scored 45 points in the second quarter. The third and fourth quarter came, we stopped moving the ball. We stopped passing the ball. We went right back to Tibbs ball, which was ISO ball, and it did not work for us. I feel like we might probably kick their ass in practice these last few days, and we get ourselves together and we beat the Bulls. Now the Bulls have pretty good defense. They're one of the top defensive teams in the league. They actually guard the three pretty well, so they're going to be guarding our 3-point shots. We've been averaging around, averaging over 43s a game, I think. So I think for us this game, we need to be smart and not just hunt the threes, but like get to the hole and take the shots that are available and not just hunt the threes. As long as we do that and play defense with our guys, Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride back, I think we'll be fine.
Okay. All right. What about you, Nick Beast? What do you think?
Tomorrow is a big tone setter game. The Bulls are playing really well, and the Bulls are scrappy. And when you get a little taste of blood, it's easy to build on momentum like that. And if you are an NBA franchise and you get in the way of that and you don't come prepared, you're going to lose a basketball game. Knicks dropped 2 in a row. I think they're going to come in locked in. Jay Ellis brought up a few great points, coming back much closer to full health, which makes a big difference. One of the things that we saw happen during the losses was, Jay said discipline. It is discipline. When things got tough, everybody went immediately to old habits. Some of the things we're seeing too, there's going to be a progression to the median, I guess, because the Knicks are among the highest in the league at missing wide open shots right now. That's not going to continue over the course of a season. They're going to hit their shots. And when they start hitting the shots, you're going to have some games where we're having conversations where we're like, oh shit, is this team going to ever lose again? Because they went molten. And we're going to get there. We haven't gotten there yet. The bench, a lot rides on the bench, not just for tomorrow, but in general. Anybody who's concerned about Clarkson, I'd say just put on your big boy pants, give it some time, because that guy is a magnet. He's going to heat up, and there's going to be stretches of this season where he can put this team and this offense on his shoulders and legitimately carry. So give the guy some time. He's still working through it. We really just need to keep an eye on Cat, how he's feeling comfortable in the offense. We've seen some confusion about his role, some frustration, some hesitance on his part in the offense. So I'm hoping behind the scenes, Mike Brown and his team are locked in on that, because that seems really important, that your star is comfortable in their role on an NBA contending team. And that does come down to the coaches. So I'm hoping that in these past couple of days, they're in the locker room and that's what they're talking about. They're having a conversation about, how do we get you involved? How do we make you comfortable? How do we get you to a point where you feel cohesive in the game plan? When they get to that point, all bets are off. Things are going to look really good. Knicks need to lock in. Bulls will be tough. I expect a win tomorrow.
All right, that's what's up. All right, who else wants to go? Who wants to go next?
I'll hop in.
All right.
I think that the Knicks are going to win because of the return of Mitchell Robinson. As JL has said, the Bulls start this season. I don't believe in it. Every year there's a team that starts really hot and then fizzles out by the All-Star break. And I tend to support the ones who have a superstar. Chicago is very strappy. They had great identity. Billy Donovan's doing a good job developing not just Matthias, but across the roster 1 through 12. But they don't have a star. To me, they don't even have a championship second option. I think right now Matthias is a championship third option. He could grow into a second option. I don't think he has first in his ability, but he is a very, very good European player. But Bulls defense is really left out by their 3-point. That's where they're making their name. They have the best opponent field goal accuracy. It's around 26%, but they've played the 17th, 18th, and 30th ranked team in 3-point shooting thus far. That's been a big part of it. The Knicks not just needing to make the 3-point shot, but also bang it in the paint. The Chicago Bulls have the worst post defense in the entire NBA. So it's extremely crucial to break that zone with 3-point shooting because they're going to zone up. We're going to build that wall. We're going to try to keep Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns from being able to get downhill. We have to run screens and get seals for Cat in the post, get Mitch easy lobs. That will open things up for our shooters. And then when those corners get sprayed with Clarkson or OG or Bridges, whoever it is, you got to find them. You got to trust a shot. Bang them in the paint, pause, and try to get some open threes based on how the defense bends to you.
All right. I love that. All right, Matt, I'm going to give you your time to shine. Rep your Bulls. See what you got.
But the problem is I'm from Chicago and I'm a realist, and I agree. I agree. We've been without Kobe White, so in our defense, we've been without Kobe White, but we're still 4-0 against, some, mediocre, lackluster teams and maybe a Detroit team that wasn't fully into it and all that stuff. I think the hard thing is you guys have Mitchell Robinson coming back. We don't have Kobe White back. We are a smaller team. I think people haven't realized just how small we are as of yet. So I think either Bulls win by 10 or Knicks win by 5. And I think because Cat, y'all are crying about Cat and they're going to figure out how to go. Cat goes for 35 or 38. And I'll say probably Knicks by 3.
All right. I love that. I love the honesty. I've had some fans here. I had Mr. 2-ounce whiskey 2 weeks ago. I had Mr. New England whiskey and Mr. Single Barrel Snob last week. And both of them put wagers up that they couldn't really cash. And so I have packages of whiskey samples of top-notch, top-shelf bottles coming my way in the next few days because they lost that bet. So I appreciate your honesty and realism and lack of delusion like those guys had because, they increased my whiskey collection. You're smart. You're like, yep, I'm a hold on to my whiskey and my, honesty. So
you got to remember, I'm also a scarred Chicago Bears fan for the last 40 years. So,
it's true. So I appreciate it. Shout out right here to my guy, Nostalgic Nick. He said, panel is lit.
Let's go.
God's gift. Appreciate you. Reposted this stream. Thank you, Queen. Appreciate you. But, I'm going to move on to Fritz before I give my thoughts on tomorrow's game. What are you thinking, Fritz?
I think the possible return of Deuce McBride is big, and next year, tomorrow's game, I think it's going to be important to stop Josh Giddey getting where he wants. That's a big thing about stopping Chicago. They have a lot of size. I think stopping Giddey from getting where he wants, because I don't believe in his shooting. I think if he's
shooting 40% right now, Fritz.
Yeah, I think if he wants to shoot and he hits it, let him have it. But just stop him from moving where he wants. So I think the return of Deuce McBride is very important. Hey. So I take the Knicks bursting Chicago's bubble by 20.
Okay, Fritz, let's go. Fritz, baby.
I'm not gonna lie, that would be a fun way to hand you guys your first first L of the season. Unfortunately, I won't have any whiskey on the wager because Matt is very, very wise, and honest with life. I will say this: I look at the Chicago Bulls team, and I gotta give them credit. like from kind of gutting the team that was, with Ball and DeRozan and Levine and everything like that was going on. That was a pretty quick bounce back. Like when you look at the roster, from Giddey to Matas or Matis, however you say it. Matas. Like those, his growth so far in these 4 games is impressive. So it's a quick bounce back for you guys. And if I'm honest, I think that if you guys actually like want to compete, you guys need a vet that is still putting up numbers. I think you put a vet that's still putting up numbers next to, the roster you guys have in Matas and Josh Giddey and Vucevic and Ayo. And as much as I love Kobe, like, I don't know if he's the future point guard for you guys or not. But one of those, I feel like if you substitute that with an elite veteran, I think you guys have a team that can compete.
You know what's crazy? I think a lot of Bulls fans, myself included, don't want that. I think we'd rather see the team go younger and struggle. I mean, heck, we even say like, yo, we've had Kobe on like a sweetheart deal. Like, let Kobe go. Let him go, because he's another guy that's 28, 29. Like, by the time Matas is maybe the second best player, you still need to find the best player for that championship team.
Yeah. Agree with that.
So, that's what stinks about the timelines for us. And like, we've kind of accepted that, because that's the thing. Like, when you get Michael Jordan at the 3rd pick and you watch 6 championships, you kind of realize, and then you see D-Rose coming at the number 1 pick, lowest odds ever. You kind of start to think like, man, if we don't play the lottery, how do you build this? And I hate to say it that way, but that's kind of how a lot of Bulls fans feel. Like, we lucked out with Modest because he went to G League. He was not a college player, right? Like, he probably, like, if he went to college, he probably would have been like a top 3 pick, and we wouldn't have gotten him, because Bulls have had the 7th pick for like 7 years in a row in the draft. and it stinks to say, but that's like where we're at as Bulls fans, is like, and that's why we're realists right now. Like, let Modest grow. And then the other thing too, and this is something that you guys have kind of built, you got to build a nest. And what it means is, like, when you build a nest, is like, you got some good young talent where if a guy like Giannis gets pissed, he wants to go to. I'm not saying Giannis wants to go on the Bulls, but what I'm saying is like you guys have a good nest for Giannis to go to. We still got to build that nest. And that's why it's like, if Vooch goes and Kobe goes and we get back in the lottery, like, we're not mad at it. And if you're mad at that mindset, get mad at the NBA, because that's what they've built.
Yeah. Matt, that's what so many teams don't. That's what so many teams fail to do. When they're hot like this, they don't sell high. They're like, oh, let's try to make the play in. They need a free agent, and it never works out. If the Bulls are smart, they'll sell high now on Vucevic, and then once Kobe comes back and hits. Now, when I say now, I don't mean right now, but before the deadline, and then trade Kobe as well. I agree. Get lottery picks and build a real core.
Vooch was hot before the trade deadline. We were all like, what are y'all doing? That's where we say, like, ownership is like trying to play for this extra playing game. Like, bro, like Vooch don't want to be here either, but he's a good soldier.
That's why I said the vet thing, because when you look at your guys' roster, it is a little confusing. Like, you have the young talent that you've really bought into, but then you got Vucevic, who's 35 years old. Like, who knows how many more years he's going to stick around, So it's like, I think them keeping Vucevic shows what Lee was saying, that they actually do want to compete now, and that's why I said the vet thing, because if you guys are trying to compete now, at least you have those young guys for a little while, and then you have the Vooches right now. It at least helps you compete for something right now, if that's what they're trying to do. I think your theory is better, but I don't think that that's where the front office is going, or they would have moved Vooch, a stretch big that is in his, latter years over the summer.
Well, my sources have said that they were sniffing around Kuminga for a good hard time, but the problem was that Golden State wasn't willing to give him up for what that deal was going to be. Like, we could have gotten younger and had Jonathan Kuminga, which you can think what you have. Like, all those Golden State guys, they're like New England Patriots offensive coordinators. Like, the 3rd or 4th guy always looks awesome, and then he goes somewhere else, and it's never to be heard from again.
Jordan Poole.
Right.
Yeah.
Pods is the next one.
I agree with that.
My thoughts are the Knicks walk away with the W. And the reason I think that is because as Knicks fans, you know that no matter how hard Knicks players try to stay off the media, they don't, so you definitely know that Cat has heard every single take on Twitter, every single take on YouTube about moving on from him, about how he's not the future of the Knicks. And you know that he's going to try to come in and perform. You know that Jalen Brunson does not like losing multiple games. And the fact that they just lost 2 is going to put a fuel under him. And now you bring in Miles McBride. Miles McBride was cooking before he left, and so he doesn't want to feel like he's a contributing factor to why we're on a losing streak. So he's going to come back and try to perform the way he was performing before to get us out of that losing streak. And if we got Mitchell Robinson back, that's going to stop the Josh Giddeys from going down, into the paint. Because let's be honest, Josh Giddey is a talented player, but anybody his size going up against Mitchell Robinson, you're going to hesitate a little bit. And so I think the Knicks walk away with it. I think it'll be like a 14 to 16 point, Knicks advancement at the end of the day. And that's just how I think that we, end it is, 14 to 16 points. What's your thought, Matt? Rookie, muted again.
Let's make a bet. I'm trying to be polite, not a rookie, but let's talk about this. You say it's more than 10 points. I say it's less than 10 points. You want to make a bet on 3 samples? If it's less than 10 points?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool.
10-point wager. Sounds good.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's another episode of the Knicks Nightcap. And we appreciate you all 307 of you rocking with us right now at 10:40 p.m. We appreciate you guys. If you're here from, Matt promoting it, thank you for joining. Stick around for more content of an actual contending NBA team this year. And if you haven't, followed Matt, please do. I put the links in the chat. So all you got to do is look right here. I'm going to post it again. Support him. Check out the Swoosh Life podcast. Find out about more sneakers that I can't get my hands on and wish I could. Thank you to Dixon Dedman for joining us from 2XO Whiskey. Pick up one of his bottles from a New York store. New York, support in New York. Don't go to, some other places that aren't, local. This is Preetz Liquors. Love the guys there. So support them if you pick that up. Shout out to my guy, Nick's Beast. I know life is crazy right now, but I appreciate you taking the time. I love what you do. I appreciate your takes. Always have and always will. Shout out to my guy, Lee, my guy, Jay Ellis from the Nick of Time show. They will be on tomorrow, right after the game with Fritz, who was here. Maybe Ryan G will be joining them. B, Ebony, support the team. And I appreciate you guys all. Any closing statements from anybody? The floor is yours.
Matt, you're a dog. I loved talking to you. I loved how you didn't care how many of us came on. You stood your ground, bro. Like great, honestly, really great debater. And I enjoyed sharing the floor with you, man. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, ditto. Didn't agree with anything he said, but I respect the balls. I respect the balls. I respect that you stood on your square and said what you had to say, no matter how wrong it was.
And Nick's Beast, let them know how they can follow you.
You can find me at Nick's Beast on Twitter and nowhere else because I don't do other social media platforms. So follow me there if you want to hear from me. I appreciate you guys having me up. It's always fun talking Knicks.
All right,
Hey,
Matt,
guys.
any closing statements from a Chicago Bull fan?
Hey, absolutely. From Chicago, nothing but love for New York. Y'all do have a good squad. I do like the team composition. Y'all ain't gonna win shit though. So enjoy being that 2010 team. I knew I had to come to New York and be bold, so that's what I did. And I appreciate you guys. This is an excellent podcast. A lot of good takes, a lot of good folks. I mean, from Apollo to Lee to all you guys still here on. Really appreciate you. Check me out at the Swoosh Life podcast if you're into golf or sneakers. If you're into whiskey reviews and nonsense. Check me out at Matt Cusick on Twitter, Instagram, and my TikTok's non-existent. But other than that, Phil, man, you are the goods, bro. Thank you, Ultimate Networker. Legit. Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. And once I, finish the game, I'll inbox you my address for my samples. I'm going to go 3 for 3. All right. You can ask 2-ounce whiskey. You can ask New England whiskey. the Knicks are going to make my whiskey collection incredible for the playoffs as we make it to the finals. It's going to be great sipping all of your guys' whiskey and tagging you in it when it happens. All right. And my rule with them was it can't be something that you would put in an old fashioned. Like, it has to be actual good whiskey.
Yo, but here's the thing. I don't drink cocktails.
That's fine. That's fine. All I'm
Just
saying
letting
is,
you know.
no bottom shelf. No bottom shelf. So shout out to my guy, Brian Bottle to Bond, for sending this to me right here. Thank you for the sponsors that we've had. Shout out to my guys at Blue Run. Hopefully we'll be working with them this season as well. And until next time, God bless you guys. Like I always say on every episode, life happens. If you have any questions, any concerns, any prayer requests, hit me up in my DMs. Let's talk. And if you drink, do me a favor, drink responsibly. Like, we're here to promote quality whiskey, not nonsense, not debauchery. So drink responsibly, look out for one another. And until next time, KOT for life. God bless.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em a shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and